Okay, we're back. This is part two. Part two. Don't know what to call it yet. Maybe how God deals with sin. The sin problem. The sin problem. Part two. Let's call it the sin problem, and we'll add to that later on. But we're here reading about in the New Testament, King James Version, Romans, the book of Romans, chapter 1, how God deals with the sin problem. So let's start with first God angry with sin. He says, "For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men." And men and women, it's inferred, right? Who hold the truth in unrighteousness. I mean, they know the truth, what they should do, but they don't do the right thing. God will deal with them in that way. Because that which may be known of God is manifest in them. For God had showed it unto them. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead. Means that, though you don't see God, hear God directly, it's there. He's there in everything. You gotta look for him though. Like diamonds, right? Search for it, put pressure, check around, everything, you'll find him if you search for him, if you seek him. As I said, if you ask for him, he'll come there. He's knocking, we're listening, open the door. So they that do those things are without excuse. Sins of the Gentiles. Verse 21 of Romans chapter 1, New Testament, King James Version. Because that when the people that supposedly should know God, and those who still don't know God too, when they that knew God, because that when they knew God, they glorified him not. Those are those who knew what God required but didn't glorify God. And including Gentiles are those referred to as those who don't know the message of God, right? So let's see. Let me let it read first before I start. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Who them? Those who should have known the invisible things of God are from creation. Those should have known. Yeah. So those should have known, right? So those people say they know God and don't act godly. God's talking about them. For because when they knew God, they glorified him not as God. They should have known better. Neither were thankful. They weren't thankful about God. Instead, those people who did not know God, who knew God, but actually they don't know God, they became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Okay? Them again, same one, professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. They think they know God, they know wisdom, they know everything, but they are really, in God's eyes, fools. Fools are those who hear the truth and refuse to acknowledge it, refuse to abide and to live it out. 23. And change the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man. That's idolatry and things. And to birds and to four-footed beasts and creeping things. They changed the image of the invisible God into something made as a corruptible, as an object, as a pharaoh, as a sphinx, as a person, as an entity. They made a statue, they made a model, they made pictures, they made things of God, but was not really God, because they don't know what God really looks like, but they decided to make things of God. A calf, a bull, a sun disk, the stars, astrology, Zeus, all these different gods in heaven, in mythical astrology, and look at the stuff, mythicism and all that stuff, or alchemy is another term for it, Wherefore God said, okay, God also gave them up to their uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves. So God says, okay, I give you time to get yourselves together. I give you time to understand the message. You refuse to be repentant. You refuse to be ask for forgiveness and to stop doing what I told you not to do. You refuse to do that, and God says, I'll permit you to do what you think is right for you. I'm not going to force you. I'm giving you the freedom of choice, freedom of liberty, autonomy. Let's see what happens from that. So God said, okay, wherefore, God also gave them up to their uncleanness, to their lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves. Verse 25. Who changed the truth of God into a lie and worship and serve the creature more than the creator, who is blessed forever and ever. He said God should be the one to worship, but instead they choose to worship the creature. The creatures, the objects they made, and even like little creatures, cows, dogs, bulls, chickens, beetles, dung beetles, the river, now, worship anything but God. God's like, you shouldn't do that. That's violating my commandments, because this is New Testament. Old commandments were given since back in the Old Testament. And even before written in stone in Exodus here, God gave them already what it's supposed to do. It's written in their hearts from time of conception. Okay? Verse 26. For this cause, God gave them up. Those people who refuse to listen to God, refuse to change, who remain stubborn and adamant, refuse to follow what God's asking, God gave them up unto vile affections, things that are not good. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. I'm not going to give in more detail about that too, because I know they will flag it if I say too much about it. So I'm going to say, you know what this is, go dig up and ask more. What does it mean to be against nature? Okay, ask what a woman's supposed to do with her body and herself, and you will understand. And if you've seen things like porn and other movies and other stuff that I've seen, or you've heard things about it, If you see women doing things that are ungodly, unlike practice, anything so, understand it. And men too. Those who participate in it. Orgy fest and all these other things, you will understand what I'm talking about. Okay? Watermelons, bats, drums, rocks, mice, dildos. Sorry, who said that? Oh, you heard that. Sorry. Okay? And likewise, also men leaving the natural use. What is a dildo, mommy? Listen, here's another thing. Stop talking about the birds and the bees like if it's some kind of thing out there, birds and bees. Use the example of birds and bees, yeah. But give the truth of humanity. Mommy, where did I come from? Tell them. They need to know. Don't they see you in the shower? Don't they see you walking around sometimes? How you doing? You're born. Daddy, where I come from? Oh, you know, honey, the stork dropped you off. And I think he tripped and landed by the garage. And ooh, no. Mommy, Daddy, where did I come from? Well, Mom and Daddy got married. And God said you should be fruitful and multiply. So Mommy and Daddy... Oh, you don't want to say anything? Should I? Tell them the truth. The truth will set you free, because these people... when people try to skirt the issues, the children get curious. Just like how you see, Mom, Dad, what's this? When you leave a child alone, what a 1-2-year-old tend to do? Pick up stuff and stick it in their mouth. They want to taste, they want to see and think about it. Remember, we're just all children. They'll go on investigation to find things, to find the answers for things. They're learning. That's really interesting. If you don't tell them the truth of where you came from, where they came from, they will go and investigate and may pick up the wrong thing and put it in their mouth. Understand the analogy. We need to be straightforward with these kids. You did not come from a stork. You didn't come from no slime pit. You didn't come from evolution. You came from your mommy and daddy uniting in godly fashion to make you. You came from God. If we don't tell them the truth, they will pick up the wrong message and end up the wrong place, and they'll find it somewhere else. Maybe on Google, YouTube, video, a magazine. Somebody whispering something to them. Because the devil looks and sees, hey, he says, let me get sneaky with them. When he sees the parents skirting their responsibilities, yes, you tell them at appropriate ages, but you under godly wisdom understand when. There's also a book called Ellen G. White, Messages to Young People and Child Guidance, about how to tell the children about these kind of things, about creation, all this stuff, and how they in conception, all these things. There's things about that in Ellen G. White's books. You can also look at our app, E.G. White Estates, E.G. White 2, and the App Store, and 1 and 2. But when we don't tell them the truth, the devil then goes in and introduces things to them quickly. Here's the thing. You ever heard some people say, give us your child under 2 or something, 2 or 3, and we'll make them a man or woman? Why do you think that is? Those are the very impressionable stages of a child's mind. We need to get there quickly. Give them the message first, the truth, before the counterfeits start to fill in. Whether it's in movies and seeing some movies like Disney and other things, of follow your heart, do what you want, all these other stuff. If we don't here's the message. If we don't put the godly message into their minds and understand it early, that you came from a heavenly creator being, early in their minds to understand, children are able to understand a lot of things. Remember I told you, show them a picture of you when you're small, and they're small too. Say, hey, find mommy and daddy in the picture. They can spot you out, even when you're a child, in their picture. How they can do that? Try it. Get a picture of you when you're a baby or a child, among your family or siblings, if you have any, or relatives, in a crowd somewhere. Ask that child to find, when they're 2-3 years old, can you find mommy? Can you find daddy? They'll find them. I just had to learn it, but just seeing my example of how our own kids, I'm like, wow, they can find us. I don't look the way I do. I look right now. How do you know? There's so much complexity to understand. But the devil knows this. The devil's been watching and studying us since conception. He's been watching, since we're created, he's been watching us. That's why he's so angry and jealous. He hates us because we are created beings and we can create other people. He hates that fact that Jesus them didn't put him into the picture to be able to do the same thing. He wanted to be able to do that same thing. God says, you are a created being. Why you want to do that? Angels are made different from us. Angels are not able to procreate. So this Nephilims and all this other stuff you're hearing about, no. Not correct. It's not in scripture. Angels cannot have children. Sorry, those who believe in it. But the truth, what do you see? God said he made men or female. He made angels who made... Come on. Don't add stuff to God's word. Get to that another time. But if you don't tell the kids where you came from, what's their purpose, where they're going, what God has intended for them, what God's plans for them are, the devil will gladly substitute something in there. Gladly plant a seed somewhere, like your garden. If you don't plant good crops and stuff that can fight against weeds, and you don't go pluck up the weeds, they will take up your whole garden. Saw the other videos of a garden? Garden is true to life. Okay? If you don't go and pick and groom and take care of this garden, care for it, the weeds and the grass will grow up. And other things will take over the garden. Before you know it, your garden is taken over by weeds and it's unkempt. Like a child's mind, like our minds are suffering. We don't plant good things and good things and good things that are sustaining, good food and crops to help ourselves to benefit and to maintain and monitor the grass and cut it. And when the weeds, pluck them up at the appropriate time. Like children, like the mind. The devil will get in there and let the seeds grow on their own. Sometimes I'm like, where did this weed grow from? I didn't plant no weeds. How did the weeds come here? Even in sand, they're growing. Now, one way you can be like, that's amazing. That seeds can grow even in sand. Or even nothing, even in rocks. There's nothing there. I've had it here. They're growing into the rocks. I'm like, who put that there? They have this life-giving property of being able to pop up. Let me see. It's so close to my face, I can't even see it. Right? They have this ability to do that. At the same time, they tell you that sin is always there. I call the weeds sin. Even though they may look like, see some of the weeds have like a nice, pretty, beautiful color. Like I see them with nice purple color and yellow and red colors. Like counterfeits, mimicking, right? Not mimicking, you okay there? Mimicking the other plants that are really good. They're faking. I see them looking like peanut leaves or like roses and all that stuff. And I'm like, are these the real plant? And thank you, Google, Apple phone, that I can take a picture and look at it and see them and lift it up. And it shows me if you want to search what the thing is. See, yeah, it's not that bad. It's good. It's helpful, But we're saying there are many counterfeits out there in life. There are many counterfeits. If we don't go carefully and spot them and reveal them and tell them kids they come from storks, or Santa Claus dropped them off, or who else? Where else? What's that about kids? The kids come from? They tell them other things. Some kids come from the birds and the bees. Yeah, I know about the birds and the bees. What about us? I see them. What about us? If you don't tell them the truth, somebody will tell them for you. Somebody slip in there. Then you have to unlearn or unthink, if you're lucky, what they learned their other way. That's how you do it. And if they don't, same thing as love and other things too. If you don't show them true love and what love really means, someone will show them this is what love is: pain, suffering, death, decay, traffic, and all these and harm, or gang, and thinking that's love. You can go somewhere with this, but we're gonna say that for another time too. But the same, tell them the truth so the devil don't come and put counterfeits and weave webs of sophistry, S-O-P-H-I-S-T-R-Y. Look it up, S-O-P-H-I-S-T-R-Y into them, to put counterfeit seeds and counterfeit plans, counterfeit ideas, counterfeit knowledge, counterfeit stuff in their lives that will follow the wrong thing and not know what the truth is. Truth is you came from God, heavenly conceptions from God. And from whatever means, as I said in the previous video, by planned or unplanned, you are a special, holy creature, holy son and daughter of God, made for his goodwill and purpose. Even from a disaster, God can bring joy out of this situation. And if you cannot afford it, adopt. A lot of kids need good parents, and you could be one of them. I could be one of them. If I can afford it and can do one day, I'd like to get a few more kids too. Let me bring them around here. God bless if you can, But we'll see how that goes in one day in life. So Lord, if you had the power, one day. But let's go back to this one, right? Sin. What people do. So here's something. So these people here, the sins of the Gentiles, they've decided, despite knowing what God said in invisible, and from the stories and the orations and everything in the past, what God told them to look about his creation. Despite all that God has given them, the 10 Commandments, the laws, speakers, videos, testimonies, crusades, pamphlets, you name it, digital, phone, apps, whatever, God give you about him, images of him. Look up at the sky, look up at the child, look up at yourself, look in the mirror. All the things, the images, all the examples God has given us. Despite all those things, we decide to do our own thing. God says, okay, I will let you do what you want to do. I'm not going to force you, but I'm going to let you know there's a consequence for every action, everything done. So, that's what God says. That's what man says. I'm going to read it. I'm going to try to do more of the reading unless I'm myself, but I'll try to get one of the words that kind of complex. I always do what we do. And sorry, people, he talks a lot, but I have a lot to tell you because I have a lot that's on my heart. I want to save more lives, including my own, by the grace of God, our own, by the grace of God. Don't want the world to keep falling these false fables and counterfeits. It says here, I have it for, but I know you can read your eyes. Your eyes are good, you can see far. So let's see. It says here, and you read with me, so I'm not adding stuff to you. You read it. It says, okay. It says, because of their disobedience to following God's law and God's teachings, it says, verse 26 of Romans chapter 1 in the New Testament, King James Version. For this cause, God, for them disobedience and being unwilling to yield and to learn and to be obedient to God, God gave them up unto vile affections. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. Human nature, that term nature, understand the context. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use, listen to the word again, you can infer what I'm saying if you don't want me to get graphic. Leaving the natural use of the woman. Men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lusts one toward another. To who? To the woman or to the man? You answer the question. You know what I'm talking about. Men with men. Oh, what did the Bible say? I'm reading from the Bible. Men with men working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error which was meet. Mean that we reap what we sow. The action gets a reaction. Gets a risk or benefit analysis. Gets a consequence. Verse 28. I'm not going to go into details too much because they're going to come at me for this stuff, and I don't mind coming at me if I speak to you directly one by one on the outside thing. But this field, there's a lot of entities that are doing the algorithm to control this stuff. If this video even gets up by the grace of God, let's see. Hear what God says. For those who do that, those who decide to go and burn in the natural use from one to another, refusing the natural use, the proper use, but going to the unnatural use. Verse 28, and even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, they didn't want to listen to what God said, no matter what he told them, God gave them up over to a reprobate man. Reprobate, that's a big word. It ain't good. To do those things which are not convenient. They didn't care. Not convenient though for them. They didn't care. Verse 29, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, illicit sexual relations with one another. Anyone outside of your husband and wife. Same thing as adultery. Or it can also be inferred as, in the spiritual sense, yoking up with unnatural, ungodly spirits. That's a fornication to me. That's why users call it a whoredom. WHOREDOM. Or AWHORING, a whoring. The term means fornication, means illicit sexual relations with, or intimate relations with another entity or person or being. Now with angels. If you do it with angels, you're possessed. That's what it means. It doesn't mean that, but it means taking into things, dabbling with doctrines and stuff that are ungodly into being that. That's what fornication means. It has more meanings than that. I'm just giving you a few of them, but it just means on illicit relations with, intimate relations with anything other than God. Wickedness. What I'm talking about? Those who didn't listen to God, refused to listen to God's message, and refused to repent of their ungodly deeds. These are things that they do. They are being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, taking what doesn't belong to them. What doesn't belong to any, maliciousness, wickedness. It's always malice, bad things to you. Always have bad intentions for you. Full of envy. Where does this thing come from? These are unrighteous and God will punish people for. Envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, like a cancer, malignity. They just can't stop being wicked. Whisperers, gossipers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents. What? These are things God's going to punish for? Sins of the... Oh, yes, he will. Without understanding, covenant breakers. They can't keep their word. They can't be honest in themselves. Without natural affection. They're mean, wicked, they're cruel, implacable. They refuse to change. They don't want to... They're stubborn, stiff-necked, unmerciful. They're cruel. Who knowing the judgment of God, verse 32, that they which commit such things are worthy of death. Whoa. Not only do those things, the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. Oh, what is God saying here? People, do you understand what God is saying? Do you understand? When we deviate from God's word and deviate from God's message and his lessons and his truth and his love from him and his freedoms, if we take it for granted, when we refuse to listen to God's word, there's a sentence coming. There's a death sentence laid upon us. For a simple thing as being disobedient to parents, being mean to other people, being envious and jealous, being implacable, being stiff-necked and unwilling to listen, being adamant and stubborn, for being fornicators, for wanting to love too much intimate relations, sexual relations with other people other than God's people, your husband and wife, for being unrighteous, for being wicked, for being covetous, for being taking things that don't belong to us, even in just our thoughts and actions, like lust in the mind, maliciousness, wickedness, for plotting evil things, for being envious and jealous, for being murderers, homicides, for being debate. Debate means no matter what God tells you, you want to go say your own thing above his own. You want to win that debate, huh? For being deceitful, for lying, for being malignant, for being just carrying that sin around and refusing to get rid of it, for being whisperers and gossipers. You mean God's going to give us death for that? Oh, yes. Yes, there's a judgment coming. Be careful. Wow. For who knowing the judgment of God, mean that they know that God's going to judge you for those things. Those people, they know that God's going to judge you for that. See the punctuation marks? Stay in school. Who knowing the judgment of God, homeschool too, that's also implied, that they which commit such things are worthy of death. Homeschool also means learning about God without even having to go to a school. How does that happen? Look at Mary and Joseph. Look at Jesus. Not only do the same, for those who don't know God, who commits those wicked things, they deserve death, right? They're worthy of death. But they don't only do them, but they have pleasure in them. Do you know anybody in this world who are doing things right now, who are doing things, having pleasure, and doing sinful things and practicing wickedness of death? What is Taylor Swift doing with some of the videos? What is Marley doing with some of the videos? What is I'm calling names because I want them to come out. They have time. They are living still. And if you have time, come out of it. What are some of the videos you see people doing stuff to themselves and their bodies and singing songs like WAP and all these other things? What are those things they're doing? What are those people in Hollywood and all the media industry and sports and all these people doing? What are people doing drugs and all this paraphernalia and trafficking shit and doing and drugs and all this stuff? What are they doing? All these circles of spirit cooking and witch cooking, all witchcraft, all this stuff and all these things they're doing. Alchemy and all these secret groups and occultists and all these things. What are they doing? When they do those things and take pleasure in them and try to hide and conceal it, and many of them are blackmailed and bribed. Now, when I mention Taylor Swift and Whitney and Britney and all these people and Miley, I don't mean that they're wicked for doing that. I mean that the people are doing it. Remember I told you, we have to love the sinner but hate the sin. The spirits that are in them need to be cast out. You're not unreachable to God. The spirits in us that are making us do wicked things need to be cast out. God can do it. We need to pray for those people that are spirit infected with bad spirits. We need to pray for them and help them to come out of it. God can rescue them. God can break the spirit. And I see them breaking it in many ways and coming out and saying they're struggling. Even some of the videos, remember God says, I always say, some people said, show me your friends, I'll tell you who you are. They also tell me, show me your car, show me your clothes, show me your house, show me your things about you, show me your fruits of your labor and your work, and I'll tell you who you are. I see a struggle going on in there. I see a battle, even in Lady Gaga and everything. I see a struggle. Only the ladies? No. What about the guys? What about what's it? Drake and Jay-Z and all these guys and Kanye and other people? I see a struggle going on. But I'm just pointing to them. I'm looking at myself too. I see a struggle going on all of us. I see in the sports world and even in the other world, our own individual life and entities. I love them. I don't hate them. Listen to my voice. I do not hate those people's names I mentioned. Even though the presidents and the Congress people and leaderships, I don't hate them. We don't hate them. We love them. And all the words spoken are only those of my own. We're saying what God is saying. Those people need to be rescued and they need to repent of their actions and to come out of those wicked things. Come out of Babylon. Come out of Babylon twice, he says it. And be saved. We can do it by the grace of God. We can come out of it. We can break it. But we need spiritual help, spiritual strength, spiritual fervor. The devil is too strong for us to battle on our own, but we need God to do it. So people, God says the prayer of a righteous person availeth much. Let us pray for one another that we'll be able to stand against the wiles and the tricks of the devil and the deception of the devil and break it. Break the Hollywood cycle. Break the wife swapping and circling that the Romans did back then too. Break the sister wives kind of nonsense. Break that loving my Lucifer, my dear Lucifer. Break that kind of stuff. Break that chain of things of thinking that we should love and parlay with the devil and play with sin. Break that play with the Ouija board and play with dabbling with occultism, playing with alchemy. Break that cycle. Break it. Break it. Because we will die otherwise. For those who do it and they're thinking they have a party, we're having a party performance. And even Lady Gaga heard doing a prayer before she has it, praying to Jesus. And you're talking about my Judas and all this stuff. You are bucking up against the wrong God, girl. If you're not careful, destruction is coming to you and those who follow you. And you know the Bible said, he said, be careful. By beholding, we become changed. When we go and lend our support by saying, I want to sit in the theater. What about the nice one, the killer one, Ariana Grande, the small one, who made a concert once saying that she wishes all her fans would die. Then there's a blown up explosion in Manchester and stuff. And they don't know who did it and whatnot, but they said it always was Muslim ISIS stuff, all these things. I don't see a lot of things they said back then happening today. But they said it happened back then because of forces. What forces? A lot of things they said back then was real, and look at it now, it's like, you have questions. You know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm saying. I can't say it fully what I want to say, but I'm just saying. A lot of ruling powers. What God says, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness. The rulers of darkness and high places. Oh, they're high places, all right, including the spirit of the air, the Satan try to spread death and destruction to many ways. How would you feel knowing you brought your son or daughter to a little concert, a supposedly innocent concert, a same thing of a nice thing, even the Barbie movie I saw recently. Barbie movie. They like to make images of God of being a cruel, wicked tyrant, having you live in a boring, perfect world that's really boring, that's ungodly. And yet it's like they used something like sophistry again and Gnostic, Gnostic gospels, to try to make good look bad and bad look good. They try to add some cyanide to the drink. They try to add some poison to the truth. They try to add some cancer cells in the middle of a good life. They are malignant. They want to do these things. Disney, you're not doing proper. Disney, you have a lot of great things I've seen, even in Pixar. I've seen a lot of wonderful movies and stuff from you guys. I like I6 and other things, and a lot of movies. Bugs Life and everything. But then you look and say, what else are they weaving in there? We have to be careful. We have to study the truth to spot the counterfeits. God said, try the spirits. So I'm trying the spirits. I see a lot of movies. I see a lot of things. I see a lot of movies and stuff. I watch a lot of things. We do. We watch a lot of different things to spot the truth, to glean the crumbs from the table. Because I said, whatever, even a bad clock is right twice in the daytime. and to call it the wickedness of the counterfeits. There's a lot of counterfeit things we see in media and industry and publications and the movie and film that they try to present to us as truth. We won't know because like a garden or like a lawn, those little seeds and those little satanic seeds are planted there and weaved in between, and they look just the same. They're amongst us, but they're not of us. They're not of God. They're not of God. We can't walk together. That's why I'm calling it out. You're a lot of good people in sports and industry, and listen, you're my brother and sister the same. I love you guys the same. I have nothing against you guys. I want you guys to prosper. So if you guys watch the video and say, oh, turn it off, sacrilege, you get angry. Don't be angry at this. Don't be angry at God for telling you the truth. We need to know the truth so we can be set free. We need to know the truth so we can be set free. How else can you know what Satan is doing if you don't know the counterfeit? How can you spot the fake money if you don't see what the real money looks like? If a child is not told the truth, if a child is not told the truth from the time they're small, how will they know how to shun evil and sin? Because many people are saying right now, said, oh, that's just, everybody fine, let them alone, they'll figure it out. Many people in the industry who make the bad things, they don't want their kids to even watch the same videos that they make or listen to the same songs that they make. Even they're knowing themselves, hey, I didn't let my child watch this movie or video that I just made for everybody else. I say that's Satan working in those people to make the things so they can spread things. Even back then, I remember I love Lucy and all these songs, I Dream of Genie. They were giving us things to make us laugh at sin. I thank you, LED Studios, Little Light Exposing Darkness Studios on YouTube. Thank you guys for making those videos to show us that we need to call it out. They were making us get familiar with sin and learn to laugh at it. Now they make videos like, I love my Lucifer, I miss my Lucifer. And big prominent names that we know that supposedly had a godly or religious upbringing or background are now bringing up those videos and saying this is the right way to do it. And have our sons and daughters coming there, and even big sons and daughters, the parents are there with them, saying this is wonderful, this is cool, this is great, the song is good, I was singing the songs. And now they're saying that some people after the song finished, they ask them, what did you learn, what did you hear? They actually don't remember. I think some of those concerts are like a trance, Trance, a trance, like a seance. I think some of those things are performances. They have now performances of people having child sacrifices or even human sacrifices. Why do they have to do those things? Why do they make Super Bowl events looking like it's like Baphomet things and satanic things, of occultist things and Illuminati stuff? And some of it, I think they're using it to mock us, to make fun of us, saying they know that we're looking for it. So instead, give it to them. The horns and the pitchforks and the bat wings, the nonsense stuff, that's not really of the devil, but make it look like that of the devil, throw us off the scent. Like people telling you, when they get the shots, they're magnetized on their arms, they have magnets to throw you off the path. We know the truth. But they ask us to go there. So there's people that I mentioned, the names I mentioned, in Hollywood, music, industry, sports, and performances. We have time. If you're alive and you hear this message, or someone bring this to you and say, listen, you know what he or she said? We have time to get it together, but we don't have forever. We need to get it together fast because this God of heaven and earth is coming back soon with judgment, with a reward for those who have done good for life. Those who have done bad with a punishment, eternal destruction and death. There's no do-over. There's no secret after. There's no secret time of tribulation to heaven and earth what to do though, according to what I believe, right? When it's done, it's done. When it's finished, it's finished. There's no, I can do it over again. Once it's asleep, it's over. No more second chances. So, take it very seriously. Gotta get it together now. Hear what God says. Don't take my word for it only, right? God says it. What he said. Those people who are being filled of unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents. And I can't cover every single detail of things that they do, but you know what the videos you see. I can't watch everything. Some of them are just so wicked and vile and cruel. But this thing of worshiping serpents and sleeping with serpents and have serpents coming out of your clothes, your nose, your ears, your tongue, all kind of stuff, that's just the devil mocking us. They know that we're watching. They know that God's people need to come out of it. But they're slowly trying to bring us down, draw us down into the web of deceit and devilish things to try to kill us. We got to fight back. We got to go for life. Reach up for life. Reach up for God and push up. Even people that see acting in the movies, like the guy that acted in the Jesus Revolution. They acted in the Jesus Revolution of saying acting like Jesus. And then you see the characters acting like Jesus later on. Look how they stick us and smart. They put characters acting in holy roles in different biblical scenes than acting in wicked roles and devilish scenes. And even on off-camera interviews and different interviews, they then speak their real thing. God says, out of the mouth come what's in the heart, the issues of the heart. So then you get to see their true character. So then if you watch it before and say, oh, I seen it, it was so wonderful, so good. And then you learn later on that they were doing this in an interview, what they really mean. He said, we now have to go and say, hey, you can go back and watch the movie again and say, hey, what was really the purpose of this film done? We have to ask those questions. Or say, hey, what does this really mean? We don't have to watch them carefully. Don't go letting people lie to you all the time and saying, it's okay, I'll just take more of it. It's good, it's entertaining. Entertainment means to be taken into, to be possessed. Do you know what entertainment means? Just give it to you. It has a meaning, not just for enjoyment, but when you start to watch things, different parts of our mind, different kind of waves, alpha or beta, different waves take over and the mind shuts down to some degree. Even from reading versus watching a movie or video, different parts of our minds take over and then are taking effect. That's why I'm doing this in just a straight, hardcore, plain reading as it is, straight as God gives it. I'm not adding to it. I'm just giving you straight as God tells you. I'm just giving practical stuff. Should be in our life in our present time. One day, if this thing is still around 10, 15 years from now, people will be like, what was that? I don't remember those things. I'm hoping at that time, the people who mentioned who are doing bad things, who are leading people astray, leading people into perdition and sin and degradation and having pleasure and wickedness, are now saying, that's not me anymore. God has forgiven me. And God can change, like how God changed Paul, who was once Saul, who now wrote this, Paul wrote this gospel message, God can change each one of us. There's nothing too big and too hard for God to say, it's okay, we can start over. There's nothing too much. God can reinvent us. God can make us change us again to be good. There's no sin that God can forgive except the one that we refuse to confess. So those who hear this and say, I'm trapped, my soul is trapped the devil can't trap you. He's not equal to God. I don't care what you signed. Say, no, I choose to serve Jesus. Jesus, Jesus. Say, in the name of Jesus Christ, I want to be set free. In the name of Jesus Christ, please save me, Lord. Watch what God does. The devil will tremble and shake. He can't hold you. God comes to get you. Break Satan's arm. Can't hold you. So don't give up. Don't think it's over. We ain't done yet. What God says. For those people who know the judgments of God, and that they do when they do such things are worthy of death, they don't only do them, but they do them in pleasure, they're going to get death. Chapter 2, let's go to chapter 2. God's judgment is impartial. Hear what God says for those who says, well, that's not me. For those of us who trying to be self-righteous, saying, that's not me. I don't do those things. I didn't say those things. That's not me. I'm different. Yeah, this is what God says. This is how God is impartial. He says, impartial means I don't judge anyone unequally. I'm equally. You know the other word is bias, unbiased, subjective, objective. God says his judgment is impartial. Therefore, God says, chapter 2, verse in Romans, New Testament, King James versions, verse 1 of chapter 2 says, therefore, thou, us, men and women, thou art inexcusable, O man, O woman, whosoever thou art that judgest. We're saying, so we're judging people, watching people say, that's not me, I'm better than him or her, I didn't do those things, and mine is not as bad as him or hers. God says, yeah, you are inexcusable. For wherein thou judgest another, there come, brother, sister, let me pluck the plank at you, let me get the speck of the eye. You look like you have some things in your life that's ungodly. Let me fix your life. You look like you playing around too much with Satan. You look like you're doing, I said, oh, whatever I say to you, I say to myself as well, right? You not look like you're doing God's will. You look like you're doing some bad stuff. Let me come fix your life up. God's like, yeah, you want to fix your life up? Better fix yours first. Fix mine first, right? He says, for thou that judgest, wherein thou judgest another person, you condemnest thyself. Therefore, thou art inexcusable, O man, O woman, whosoever thou art that judgest. We want to say it, put on judgments on anybody else? Judge my peers. For wherein thou judgest another, thou condemnest thyself. God's saying, whatever judgments we use to judge anybody else, it will return right back into our bosom and right back to us. For thou that judgest doest the same things. Lord, I didn't sin. I didn't murder. I didn't watch porn. I didn't do murder. I didn't disobey my parents and stuff. Remember this. When you break one of the commandments will break all. If you violate the Sabbath, even the Sabbath, or have idolatry and use God's name in vain, we break all the other commandments. All tied together. It's a mirror. If you smash the mirror, the commandments are a mirror unto us, tells us who we are. The 10 Commandments tells us how we are. The first 4 tells us how we are to God. The latter 6 tells us how we ought to treat our fellow brothers and sisters. Right? If we break any part of the mirror, the whole thing is broken. The shadow is not good anymore. We break all God's commandments. He says, so verse 2. But we are sure that the judgment of God is according to truth against them which do commit such things. God's judgment is true, it's perfect. Verse 3. And thinkest thou this, O man or woman? He's asking us to think of this. He's saying, listen, I want you to consider these things. We talk about we watching other people and watching things and say, God, judge him, get him, God, get him, God. God says, I want you to consider this. When he says this, he says, take a pause. As I'm breaking it, take a pause because he says it's a heavy break. Like you driving your car and just slam on the brakes, something happens. He's telling you. He says, and think is this. See, the first was a period, right? Verse 2, period here. Here is now a new sentence. It says, and think is this, comma, oh man or woman. He says, think about this. He's like, I'm pretending you're shaking. Think is this. that judges them which do such things, that doeth the same. He says, you thinking, listen to this, this is a very powerful verse. And think as this, comma, O man, woman, comma, that judges them which doeth such things, comma, and doeth the same thing, comma, that thou shalt escape the judgment of God, question mark. So he said, hey, you who judge other people, and watch other people saying, that's them, that's not me. He said, you thinking that you're going to escape? You judging them, that they're going to pay? You think you judging them? He says, think about it. He said, nah, coming at you. He said, nah, you think you're going to escape? I'm talking to you. He says, he continues, he said, listen, verse 4, he says, 10 people who are self-righteous, self-judging other people, no, not self-judging, but judging other people. He says, question mark, he said, for God, he said, you judging them, you thinking that you escape God's judgment? He said, there's more. Or, despisest thou the riches of his, God's goodness and forbearance and God's long-suffering? You thinking that and despise means you, like Eli, when he refused to tell his sons to stop behaving badly in the God's sanctuary, having his sons do bad, sleeping with the people who come into the sacrifice, the women, and trying to take things that didn't belong to them in sanctuary service. That's what I tell you need the Old Testament to talk to the New Testament, and New to Old and back and forth. Because the stories come to mind. There's stories of examples about this. He says, when you refuse to listen to what God's judgment and thinking that God's just saying this for them, that's called despising it. You're hating what God's saying because you hate what God is doing. You hate God. Despise it, that means by saying I refuse to listen to what God's saying. I refuse to listen to God's message. I refuse to follow the truth. That's I'm despising it. I know I'm doing this, but despite knowing the truth, despite knowing what I should do, despite what I was told, I'm still doing what I'm supposed to. That's despite. So he says, and that's despite means to despise. Or despises thou the riches of his goodness and forbearance and long suffering. Mean that because you see God's allowing you time to get yourself together, because God's giving you forgiveness, allowing you time to kind of get your hearts together, because God's not destroying you. Those who doing the performances and those doing the witches and sacrifices and seances, those doing the bad things that are doing ungodly in this world, despises, and all of us are sinners. Despite God not, when you sin, zap, despite God not burning us right away and zapping us, you know, some people get an imminent death depending on what they do, how deadly the act is committed, you know, including doing things that bring us closer to death by violating the 3 ways of sinning: pride of life, lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh. By doing practices, including something simple as eating ungodly food in an ungodly and an intemperate way, being in places of settings that are in ungodly way, taking liberties with our lives, putting ourselves on cliffs to take pictures and selfies, that knowing that we can potentially fall and get blown up and get killed or pushed to death. Taking things of playing with death, sitting in the back of cars and trying to do games of let the car drive forward and see if I fall backwards. Taking time to sit in front of a car and plan to say, let me sit at a drag race up close to see what happens and get run over and killed in a public. Not saying this is people that did it to themselves intentionally, but when we do things that put us in positions closer to death, we have to look and see, is it really act of God that allowed us to die? Do they put ourselves in positions? We have to be careful not to put ourselves in positions whereby we can be tempted to fall or can be easily destroyed because of the action, because nobody took you and put you there. If it was done, that God would judge the person that did and put you there. But if you did it by yourself, it was an act freely taken, freely done. So if we put ourselves on Satan's playground by playing with occultist things and playing Ouija boards and satanic stuff and playing, even engaging in things like Halloween and costumes and all those things, the Halloween stuff, and thinking to say it's All Saints Day and worshiping satanic entities, or taking on godly things into our bodies and saying it's innocent, this is innocent fun, trick or treat, give us something good to eat. If you don't, we'll pull on your underwear. And what else? It was a time in Brooklyn, people when doing Halloween time, they used to stone you with frozen eggs to bust up your face and your eyes and stuff. And gangs would do this, and people play mild pranks or bad pranks. Why you want to give the devil a day of his own? We have enough drama every day. That day they said the spirits are at the highest level, because then the people think that it's okay to be bad at night. And when they do Halloween things, this is what they call doing pleasures in unrighteousness. Why they all show the most enticing things of showing people with an axe in the head, or grime and gore, of ripped up flesh and body parts, of this split face, stitches and skulls. It's just Frankenstein. It's just fun, innocent things. It's just innocent fun. I had a couple of years ago, people went to a Halloween all-night event concert, and they went, was it China? Was it in Asia? They went somewhere in Asian continent. Yeah. Korea. They went to go to a fest. Now, I'm not saying they judge themselves to do this stuff, but this is what they let can happen. The devil wants them. They went to They all told on social media to get together at a sudden event. Come out in the nights of Halloween and other things to go and gather together, all the youth in different places. And this was, I don't know if it was just poorly planning, but they all got together into the same place, and they all managed to be in together in the same, they got funneled into the same place, same intersection. And when people are close together and they don't realize it, panic can ensue. And somehow the people got smushed together, and there was a panic, people trying to get out, they don't know which way to go because there's so much crowd control is not there. Why not? Knowing that this was broadcasted? I don't know. But some people got trampled, pushed together. Many people, innocent, wonderful, loving people, died there. Tragic. People doing CPR and other stuff there. Going to supposedly innocent event of just going to celebrate a night out together with friends, but going to a place and a time and a scene that's not sanctioned by God. Halloween is not sanctioned by God. It's called baptized paganism. They tell you it's about God. It's about time to give the kids a treat to eat all the candy and stuff. So stuff they normally do. It's a time to kind of do a purge. Here it's called. Like the purge. You know the movie, the series? A time to let yourself go and be somebody else. Put on a caricature. Put on a mask. Put on somebody else. You can be a lovely Snow White or a lovely beautiful caricature. Or angel or Superman or Batman or Robin, all this stuff. Where do we see this in God's word? Where do we see this in God's holy word and scripture? Halloween for God. God said, I'm the God of the living. Halloween promotes the dead. I'm the God of the living. All Saints Day, they have different names for it. Before and after, making sacrifices and food out for the dead and the witches and the spirits. Hopefully it'll appease the spirits. Give it to our ancestors. Like you see in Mulan, they're talking to our ancestors, Mushu, a dragon, a red dragon. Talking to the dead ancestors to give information to Mulan to know how to battle and how to think. And they make it into a comedy. I watched it before as a kid. I was like, well, not kid, but I was watching when I was younger, and I was laughing. I was like, it's funny. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is about spiritism. They have so many things in Hollywood and industry where they make it seem like it's innocent fun. Listen to the songs of Mulan and Frozen. Follow your heart, if I can do it. Even in The Little Mermaid. All these things of anti-God, looking fun and innocent. We're being entertained, engaging in pleasurable activities that are given by the worldly sophistry, through satanic leadings, and we're thinking it's of God. They use godly themes and they try to mock God and thinking that they're going to get away with it as innocent fun. So the people trampled to death in Halloween time. Went for an innocent thing. God will judge them based upon the innocence of their heart, their intent. I don't think they're going to have to die that night. Many of us don't think we're going to die, but we can die by events happening, even on a regular thing of driving and walking on the street or sitting here, bullets fly out anywhere, killed me, you can die. We want to be in a place that if the worst was to ever happen to us, we will be under God's influence and care. That God, our lives will be sealed in God. We don't want to be in any place whereby we then have a questionable mark next to our name. What was I out there doing if not giving credence to God? For those who don't know what God's name or Jesus, what it is, remember God said, the invisible things of this world or of his creation are there. That shows who he is. People are searching for something. They're trying to fill that void in their life with something, thinking that, I will do what I need to do and I'll find it. I'm on a search, like Ryu, always searching for the thing, looking to be the best fighter, but he gets into the dark Hadouken and get to meet with Akuma, his father supposedly. Ryu and Ken in Street Fighter, they're searching for something. People are searching, go climbing the mountains. They want an inner peace. They go to yoga and other stuff. Yoga is a religion. Participate in that stuff. Yeah, I said it. Yoga is a religion. We're not to participate in that stuff of the chi and the ki and all this other stuff. Those things I'm talking about is an inner spirit. There's an inner power within us that can come out if we just go into this pose. Yoga, watch the poses. Watch the pose of triangle. Watch the stuff. It's a lot of things of ungodly stuff. A lot of things belong to Babylonian practice and Syro-Phoenician and all this other stuff that are not of God, but the thing will tell you is good. And the kids do yoga, it's fun, it's to meditate and to relax. The devil loves to weave the cyanide into the drink. Tell you, drink up, it's good for you. The devil told the same thing to Eve. You shall not surely die. Did God say you shall surely die? You shall not surely die. You shall live. For God doth know that the day you do it, your eyes will be open. The devil tells the same thing. The day that we decide to violate God's law and do this thing and just dabble a little bit with the occult, dabble with the dead, dabble with the spiritual world, our eyes will be open. We shall know. We shall be like him, like God's. Lowercase G-O-D. Including the music and song and rap songs. We shall be like God's. J to Jehovah, man pretending to be God. That is dangerous. That is blasphemy. Vicar of Christ on earth. That is dangerous. That is blasphemy. There's no one on earth. There's no other way to God but Jesus Christ. If we take pleasure in doing those things, knowing that the truth tells us to come out of them and to be holy unto God, if we're deserving of death, we will pay the price. Now here's something. I got more to say in this thing. I want you guys to take a moment and please go get some breakfast. I got something to tell. Let me hold this a second. You guys please get some breakfast. I feel bad for you guys. You guys are here. I'm going to show you them. Go get breakfast. I have things to say. I'll come back, get some food and come back. I'll be right here in a second. I want to show you guys something. Please. It's going to be a while.
They can wait.
I'll put it here. Go read. Don't die of low blood sugar, hypoglycemia. If you guys pass that, I don't know. Please get something and come bring it here. We're going to play the videos back. Okay? This is going on 45 minutes. I don't mean to hold you guys that long, but I'm letting you guys know. Everything has to be accounted for. Here's this. So what God says. Those who take pleasure in doing those things, knowing the truth and refuse to do it, they need to understand that there's a price, there's a penalty to be paid for it. So here's what God says. And think of this, O man, O woman, that judges them which do those things, that thou shalt escape. So I'm talking about them, right? In God's I'm talking about you too. You thinking you're going to escape, that thou shalt not escape the judgment, that you're going to escape the judgment of God, question mark. Or despises thou the riches of his goodness and forbearance and long suffering, thinking that God's not going to punish us. All of us go to heaven when we die. Talking about people coming back from the dead and talking to us. Let me say it slower. People coming back from the dead and talking to us and saying, everybody goes to heaven in the end. The reason why I say this is that there can be a lot of things coming in, whether from AI or from satanic entities coming and talking to us, or seances or witchcraft, or things like how people people leaders in government and people who are once learned to be talking to the cultists, of talking to Roosevelt and other people and thinking they can bring the spirits back and channel them and get answers from them. They're talking to the dead, spirits of the dead. No, they're not talking to evil spirits, impersonating the spirits of the dead, including how Saul tried to talk to the witch of Endor to get the answer from Samuel about what to do next, about him possibly dying in death and destruction. When we dabble with stuff that's unlike God and not of God, we put ourselves on Satan's enchanted ground and ripe for possession and for destruction. And thinking that they know that these things are things to be repented of, but they think not. They're going to repent. They're going to keep doing it more and more. And they're going to do that, and that God's going to forgive them. And that when we die, we're going to all go to heaven anyhow. If we just pay a penance or pay some indulgences, pay some money, we'll get out of it. Somebody will pray me to heaven. Ain't nobody going to pray for you to get you in heaven anymore. Once you're dead, that's it. Once we die, that's it. There's nobody going to pray for us and get us in heaven or take us out and bring us to heaven and hell. It's like, and that's the case, everyone. And there's no hell burning on earth right now. I keep telling that. There's nothing below the earth or the ground that we're sitting on of molten lava, burning people in barbecue and shish kebab down there. Hell doesn't exist until final destruction, when God comes to give it out. Fire and brimstone. Down in the earth, the core, the mantle, the crust, the lava, hot steams. That's it. Where's hell then? Matrix, where's hell? But you have it in Zion, in hell, down there partying. Keanu Reeves, he got you in the videos and some things. You have a good character. You can do a lot of good things. So Tom Cruise, you too. I'll watch your videos back then. Top Gun, you have a lot of good things. A lot of people are called names. Chris Pratt, especially those. This is something too. The devil loves to use people in high positions, people in the public eye. Not only in American film and videos, also in Asian films, and I've seen in the Philippine films and Indian films and other things, and different Bali in the Middle East and everywhere in the world. The devil loves to use things of different genre and niche, Niche and backgrounds, all different cultures everywhere. What is it? Blackpink and other people in what's the thing? What's it called? Those little the people in K-pop and American Idol and all these different things. Entertainment. It looks so fun and wonderful and nice. We're just having fun. We just have Big Brother or Big Sister. Is that Big Sister? Oh, my Young and all my what is it? The Young and the Restless. My pastors are called the Young and the Worthless. All my girlfriends' children. All my girlfriends. What's all my girlfriends' wives? All these weird things. All these soap operas, entertainment. Jerry Springer show, all these stuff back then. Sorry, he passed away, sadly, but now I hope he made forgiveness. Maury Povich and these guys. I remember these guys. These guys, Montel Williams, all these guys. What about Ellen? Ellen, lifestyle and choices and behaviors. There are a lot of good things. What about Oprah? A lot of things people say and do. We're being entertained. Arsenio Hall, all these things. No, because I mentioned the name of these people, don't mean I'm saying that they're all bad or wicked. We're saying the good things, take from them. Take as an interesting one. Jimmy Kimmel. And these are the guys, late night talk. Stephen Colbert, all these guys, late night talk show hosts. Do you know the history of Jimmy Kimmel and what he did before? And also, what about Howard Stern? I remember a lot of the vulgarity, the cursing, the bad words and stuff, the bad vulgarity. And and the sleeping around and the women and all this stuff they did and all these things to the young girls and women. We said we all women should believe. We believe our women, but we don't want to call it our own. We want to let these things go. We want to talk about everybody else, but we don't want to talk about our own stuff. And we let them go on and say, let them keep taking more. And I believe in freedom of speech and liberty and do what you want to do, and in that regard. But when you say to get them other people, but those people have pleasure and righteousness and refuse to repent, they have time still to say, God, forgive me, and to change around. Because the world seems to be angry at people trying to spread the gospel, trying to expose the wickedness and badness in this world. But they don't want to be accountable to the truth. They don't want to deal with it. But God says we need to get that mirror back, the 10 Commandments, to put it back in our face and say, listen, I'm talking about you. We're watching everybody else, but God says, I'm talking about you. Me? Yes, me. I'm pointing, but God says, I'm talking about you, the 4 fingers. I'm talking about you. So when I say this about other people, I'm talking about my own self as well. I got to look at my own life and say, do I have things that me that's unlike God? I need to call them out. I need to change, or else I'll be destroyed. Because God says those things are punishable by death. Now he says, oh man, I don't want any one of you to die. Any name I mentioned, I don't want anybody to die. But we need to ask God for forgiveness and go and say, I'm sorry, and to repent of it. But for those who are doing it in the entertainment business still, and in Hollywood and industry, and are preaching things and saying things and teaching us, leading us by example, by knowing that by beholding we become changed. Those who are there saying, hey, it's okay. Do what thou wilt. Get involved. Do something bad. Get wickedness. Get wild. Get wild. Let it all go. Girls gone wild. Men gone wild. Child gone wild. Get debauchery. Get debased. Hate yourself. Do this to yourself. It's entertainment. Get likes. Make a selfie shot. It's good for you. Get naked. Send them. What kind of pics? Those sexting, all the stuff and stuff. Get involved. No, again, the web and all this stuff, social media can be used for a lot of good things. You listen to it right now. Good messages. But they're not wanting us to use it for good things anymore. They want to let only the bad things go and censor and block and deplatform our algorithm or throttle the good things. God's like, those people who are doing the throttling and doing the bad things, they're going to have to pay for it too. So God says his judgment is impartial. He said, because you know what it is? At the end of the day, despite if they let it go to another, they block it and let things happen, God's like, I'm going to still ask you to give account. You can't say, I was just doing my job. There's no just I was just doing my job. They know I was told to do this. Holocaust. I was just paid to do this. I was just doing my job. They know I just do my job. We have to pay for it. Look at what God says here. Verse 4. Or despises thou the long suffering. Remember, for those people who are doing those things and have given the time to be alive, to be alive today, to still be able to speak and talk, and to live and are alive and be able to get up in the morning and put on their shoes and clothes and their outfits and their things to do a performance again, or to go to have fun with their families, and have been doing those things, that's long suffering. For them to be alive still, that's long suffering. If we know that we had the time to do this and we still refuse to be repentant and to change, and those people know that they're doing it and stuff, are giving them credits and support by lending them value, by giving them your money and your time and talents, when the money can be spent elsewhere to help to save people and save life and nature and wildlife and other things to save life, but we're giving money to them to be lied to or to be given a performance and to be entertained by them, which are speaking and living according to devilish practices. God's going to judge us for that too. And if we know to do good but refuse to do it, God's going to judge you based upon that too. So if you know to do the right thing and refuse to do it, God's like, I'm going to hold you accountable. No one's going to escape this one. No one's going to be like, no, it wasn't me. I didn't mean to. You're going to have it. God says, verse 4 again, or despises thou the riches of his goodness and forbearance and long-suffering. That's when long-suffering means God giving you time to repent and to change, all of us. Not knowing the goodness of God lead to repentance, mean that you don't understand that God's giving you the time to repent and get it together. You're still going to continue. He says, but 5, this is where you're going to come the judgment. But after thy hardness and impenitent, means refusing to change, refusing to give penance and to change. After thy hardness, after our hardness and impenitent heart, treasurest up, means you keep adding to it, up unto thyself wrath against the day of wrath and revelation of Jesus Christ, the God of judgment. He's saying, don't you know that when you refuse to change and be asked of repentance and change from that practice of doing what you're doing, we are treasuring up, we're adding treasures in a certain place. We're filling up a cup of wrath and judgment and destruction is coming. We're adding to it. The books, the good of knowledge, good and evil. I don't know what they tell Santa Claus have. Santa Claus, he knows if you're good or bad. That prerogative, that belongs to God. So Santa Claus, coming after you too. Your name rearranged is not Jesus Christ. Your clothing is not Jesus Christ. You have prerogatives and powers of God, but you seem to be eating and doing things that are not Jesus Christ. You have your way of your mannerism of have yourself good old jolly Saint Nick. It's not of Jesus Christ, but you give gifts to good or bad based upon how we behaved, as if you are omniscient, I'm-knowing, but you're not Jesus Christ. But I heard about a person named called Good Old Saint Nick in the UK who actually did good things back then. So I don't know. I don't go against being thankful for good things and to give good gifts to people every time. Give it any time of the year, every day of the year. But why we wait for December 25th in particular? December 25th is not of God. Jesus' birthday is not on December 25th. I didn't say it in the Bible. So who told us it was December 25th? Hearing we don't hear, seeing we don't see, but we're listening. Who told us that December 25th is God's birthday? We call it baptized paganism. They have pagan rituals that are tied to these supposedly popular holidays that are not of God. But it's so big and encompassing, it's around the whole world, that to break around it, it's like how to tie the same thing of pro-choice. It's like it's going against women's rights. It's hard to separate the two because now he said, well, I love to get together with family and friends. I love to get together with my people and to talk and to have fun with them. I love to eat and drink with them, non-alcoholic, and to do things that are lovely with them. But to be speaking about the truth of Christmas and those events is to be anti-God. Because the Christians say, Merry Christmas, and they mean Merry Christ's death, but they're celebrating Christ's birth. That's like an oxymoron. How can you be celebrating Christ's birth by his death? Or because he died for us, we can celebrate his birth? We have to be honest. We have to spot the originals so we can spot the counterfeits. We have to study the originals more. What does God say about Christmas? Is it in the Bible? What does God say about the Marian worship? Is it in the Bible? They worship the Queen of Heaven. Sounds familiar. Old Testament, Queen of Heaven. They do it now. In Hail Mary, Mother of God. She's the mother of Jesus Christ on earth. But she's sleeping in the grave. Mary's not in heaven. Not in the Bible. So if you want the truth, let's ask God the truth. But they tell us these things and they make us believe these things and they tell us to come and give penances and indulgences and this is how what we should live by and this is the truth. They give us some truth with error. They give us a cyanide and tell us it's the way to live. Do what thou wilt. And that time of the year, it's a big commercial thing. People get money and stuff and all these businesses make money. And it's Black Friday, and Black Friday from Thanksgiving, right? After Thanksgiving. When we talk about Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and then talk about it. Black Friday, the bottom they said it's good for the business at the end of the year. Brick and mortar stores, it makes money at the end of the year. We celebrate. It's the most wonderful time of the year. The songs go and they sing the songs. I worked in different stores and they play the song back and forth. I hear the songs. I'm like, it is a very wonderful and festive, happy time. I'm not trying to douse people's happiness. I'm saying celebrate. But do it every day. Celebrate God every day. Who told us that December 25th is God's birthday? Where's the scriptural support for that? Churches? Religious leaders? Who told us that? What? You're tied together, so it's hard to separate it. And they know the devil knows that. The devil loves to weave that sophistry, weave it together so you can't separate it, tangle it together. And if you tell the kids about this, you're doing them harm. You're speaking misspeak. You're speaking lies and truth. I'm speaking the truth. Prove it to me where God the Sabbath was changed from Saturday to Sunday, 7th to the 1st. Prove it to God. Prove it in God's word. Where you say about these holidays are actually of God, sanctioned by God. And it's a worldwide encompassing. It's a festive time. It's a wonderful time. And I celebrate God's birth. I love to celebrate that. And so now people get away and say, instead of saying Merry Christmas, say Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, all this other stuff and all this. I don't see it in the Bible. And it says, well, so the African Americans say a different holiday name. Was it Kwanzaa or something like that? I don't know the history of Kwanzaa. I ain't gonna talk about that. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I ain't getting involved in that. I don't know about it. I heard about it. I don't know. Then they make different, now you have different races saying the holiday doesn't mean this anymore. It means something else. Because now the slavery has come up back into the history and apartheid and other things, other bad things have come up in history. Now you see how what happens if we don't tell them the truth from the beginning, what happens? Now the past has come up, it's bubbles to the surface. And the volcano is ready to blow. We had the ashes and stuff buried below the ground and buried in the truth was buried inside of it. And now the things are coming and now we have to give an account. Now we have people attacking each other in the street. People attacking Asians and whites and blacks and everyone's fighting with each other. Because God said a house divided against itself cannot stand. And who's doing the dividing? Satan. Satanic forces and entities. So they have us fighting with each other and saying this is God's way and this is of God. God says, where 2 or 3 are gathered, I am in the midst. And a house divided against itself cannot stand. A house must not be divided against itself. A house must be structured together. There must be no schism in the body of Christ. The leg can't say I don't want the eyes. The eyes can say I don't want the fingers. The fingers can say I don't want the elbows. The elbows can say I don't want the knees. We need to be a whole creature, not piecemeals. So when you watch things for entertainment value and saying we should watch it and learn that this is from God, but when you look at the full picture, it's not of God, but it's skimming things of God and mixing in errors with truth. That's sophistry. That's webbing. That's deception. You got to call it out. I told you. It's going to come at you hard because the Bible is straightforward. It's like a two-edged sword cutting asunder, dividing of flesh and marrow. Because we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. I'm not talking about the people who do these things per se, but the spirit in them that make them do these things. What is causing us to do these things? Because we have to answer for it. So God says, if we neglect to follow the time and take the time He's given us, the useful time to go there and to change our life and behavior patterns and to go follow these wicked things, we are treasuring up unto ourselves wrath and destruction for final destruction of God when the judgment comes. And this is what God says, verse 6 of chapter 2 in Romans, New Testament, King James Version, it says, God will render to everyone according to his or her deeds. Right? Let's go back to verse 5 first. It says, because verse 4 says, don't you know you should be led to repentance by taking the time that God gave you to ask for forgiveness? God says, but after thy hardness and impenitent heart, if we refuse to, and by treasuring up unto ourselves wrath against the day of judgment and the righteousness of God, the same God who's going to render to every man and woman according to his or her deeds, yes? The same one, right? Who's going to do the render to these things? The same. He says, to them who by patient continuance in well-doing seek for glory and honor and immortality, eternal life. So there's a contrast here. So those who seek for goodness, by seek eternal life, they should be doing good and good things here, and God's honor and glory, right? But unto them that are contentious, those who refuse to be like this one in verse 7, to be as honorable as God and seeking God's will. But unto them that are contentious, meaning they want to fight back against God's will, and do not obey the truth. God is truth, right? But obey unrighteousness, indignation, and wrath. So for those who don't want to follow the truth and don't want to take the time to repent and to ask for forgiveness and to follow and give God glory and honor to God, but want to obey unrighteousness and to be contentious and fight with the gospel and fight and to come to and to be Cains in this life, they're going to treasure up unto themselves unrighteousness, into indignation and wrath. Tribulation, he didn't stop there, comma. Verse 9, tribulation and anguish upon every soul of man that doeth evil, of the Jew first, spiritual and figuratively, and also of the Gentiles. It means everybody involved in the world will have to pay the price for good and bad. Contrast, but, verse 10, but glory, honor, and peace to every man and woman that worketh good, to the Jew first, spiritual and literal, and also to the Gentile, spiritual and literal. Verse 11, for there is no respect of persons with God. I mean, God looks at all of us naked before Him. He's not going to choose you because you're Jew and teach you different from Gentile, and because you're man different from the woman. Everyone, there's no respect of God, rich or poor, slave or free, young or old. No respect of persons with God. Verse 11 in Romans chapter 2, King James Version, New Testament. Verse 12, for as many people say, but what about those who said, I don't know the law, I didn't learn about Jesus Christ, I never heard His name mentioned, I don't know about God, I don't know about being a Christian, I don't know about what this thing to be. Here's God says. Get an answer. Verse 12, for as many as have sinned without law shall also perish without the law. Which law? The law, the Ten Commandments law written in that. For those without means you didn't know. You don't know what it is, but you were sinning. By violating the law, violating the tenets of the law, by sinning without knowing the law, you were doing sin. You're going to die. Right? They shall die without the law. And as many as have sinned in the law, those who now know the law, know the commandments of God, know what the will of God is, shall be judged by the law. So everyone's going to be judged by what you know and what you didn't know. Mercy be given to those who didn't know and did good, or did bad and turned and repented and did good. But those who didn't know the law, in terms of the law being spoken to them, but didn't take time to recognize the law in their hearts and minds that God said already are writing on the tables of your heart. The law is written inside our hearts and our conscience. If we choose to neglect the conscience wooing, telling us to follow the law in our hearts and our minds that God put there as a little gift for us when you're small, because many of us won't have the word. Many people didn't have the Bible. The Bible wasn't created in the word and put together in parchment and paper and this form or digital form until recently, a couple hundred years ago. Okay, so the law is written in our hearts. Adam and Eve didn't have a written Bible to read. Okay? Here it says, for as many as have sinned without the law shall perish without the law. And as many as have sinned in the law, knowing the 10 commandments of God that has been revealed to them, told to them, and they refuse to listen, they shall be judged by the law. 13 verse 13, for not the hearers of the law are just before God. I heard the scripture mentioned to me. I heard my Bible study. I went to school. I went to the Sabbath. I had everything mentioned. I went to church. For not the hearers of the law just before God, but the doers of the law shall be justified. I know the commandments. I know what God said. I know what He requires. If I hear it and I refuse to do it, I have to give account for that. Why didn't I do what I knew to be true and right? Did I take a further time or inquiry to go and ask questions to solve and dig into it? Verse 14. For when the Gentiles, those who consider the outcasts, who don't know God, who have no laws of God, for when the Gentiles, which have not the law, as you were asking before, for the Gentiles, those who supposedly know no message about God, Gentiles are the supposed outcasts, the unreligious people, the non-religious. For when the non-religious Gentiles, those who don't know about God, or His name or Jesus, anything about God, which have not the law, have never seen the 10 Commandments written in stone or form or paper or parchment or preached to them or told to them. For those who don't know the law, do by nature, human nature again, by nature, the things contained in the law. For those who never heard about God, do by inner written laws in their hearts and mouths that they can't see, but in the conscience. They, by nature, the things contained in the law of God, written in visible form. These having not the law are a law unto themselves, meaning that your nature of knowing the knowledge of God and good and evil is a law unto you. That will be a judge. That will be the judge for us. If you don't see the written word of God in commandment form, written form, parchment, and paper, or book and thing, but we obey the law of being good and obey our conscience and do the right thing, that's going to be a law unto us to determine whether we get life or death in God. What He says. Verse 15. We can see the first, He's in the end there. That wasn't an end period. He says, let's read it again. For when the Gentiles which have not the law do by nature the things contained in the law, these, having not the law, are a law unto themselves. Semicolon. Or is that the right command? Is that semicolon? The two dots? Semicolon? Colon, semicolon? It's a language I need to work to school. Sorry. Verse 15. Which show the work of the law written in their hearts. Written in their hearts. Their conscience also bearing witness, and their thoughts the mean while excusing one another. Means let your conscience be a guide. Your conscience will tell you if you're doing right or wrong. And they say, what does that mean? That conscience is so spiritually different. Have you been able to take the conscience out of anybody? When people come like, oh, the soul dies and the body dies, but the soul goes back to God, they say, right? But where does the conscience go? Interesting. The conscience, our thinking process. They've never been able to open up the body and do a lobotomy and see that, or open the mind in an autopsy and take out the conscience. But the conscience is what helps us decide right or wrong. That's our guide. That's the Holy Spirit. God, that's the third person of the Godhead in us, teaching us to do right and wrong. Telling us that it's already in us to do right and wrong. We already have it. God didn't make us and leave us destitute. God gave us everything we needed to do to live our life according to His will, from birth, from conception. So when you're conceived, miraculously, the Lord's little special gift planted in there. Like when people put like things, like you see like in cars and stuff, where they put like a little hidden secret. Like treasure. Like Tesla has little gifts He gives to people, like a little heated steering wheel or heated seat. Something that's the gift they didn't know that they got when they got the vehicle. Or like the Jeep vehicle we saw in the videos, a little emblem of a Jeep planted somewhere on the things here and there. And I plan to do something too with the shirts we plan to make for the websites and stuff. Put those things in there that you didn't see, that you didn't know. Hey, I got that too. And some people say, why is that there? I don't like it. But is it nice to see something that you like it? You love to see something that you like, mentioned there, or put there as a little surprise. Did you like pleasant surprises? I like pleasant surprises. Pleasant means something I need, I want. That's good for me. As opposed to bad surprises. What? I have taxes. I owe $50 million in taxes? Oh my. That's not a good surprise. A letter from the IRS. I get worried, not yet. Thank you. What does that mean? Well, God says, so those of you who never heard the gospel preached to you in this language or whatever language, but you can see the nature and around you, and you know your conscience is talking to you, live according to what the conscience tells you is good and right. That's your law unto you. But those of you who know the law, who heard it, preached, seen it, written thing, read it, live according to God's law. That'll be a law unto us. Right? He says why? He always says why? Because he said those who don't obey, they're going to be destroyed. But those who do listen and obey, it'll be good. That verse 13 says, for not the hearers of the law are just before God, but the doers of the law shall be justified. So just because you hear, if we don't do, that's just as bad. Verse 14, for when the Gentiles which have not the law do by nature the things contained in the law, These, having not the law, are a law unto themselves. 15, which show the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience, while also bearing witness. Conscience will be the witness to them in judgment. And their thoughts, the mean, while accusing or excusing one another. In other words, your conscience and how you decide, how you follow the law of your conscience and what you're supposed to do. That'll be your way of judging your laws and if you did it right or wrong. Verse 16, in the day when God, see the comma, it's a closed parenthesis, parenthesis, but not finished, not a period. Continue. In verse 16 of chapter 2, Romans, New Testament, King James Version. In the day when God shall judge the secrets of men and women by Jesus Christ. By who? Wait. By who? In the day when God shall judge the secrets of men by Jesus Christ according to my gospel. Secrets that means secrets of men. So who's doing the judging? Jesus Christ. Whoa. So Jesus Christ is the sacrifice. He's your advocate, he's the attorney in front of God who's judging, but Jesus is also equal to God, so he's also judging. Because you remember how he did the people of money exchanges and those who doing bad things in the temple, what he did, he cast them out. He made a judgment decision, he made a judgment call. He made a decision to make life or death. He allowed Lazarus to die, to then raise him up. Jesus gave him the life. Jesus can make life or death. Jesus made the world and the earth. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word became flesh to dwell among us. That's like 1 John, I think, or John. So Jesus is the creator. Jesus is God. Jesus is the sacrifice. Jesus is the attorney. Jesus is our big brother. Jesus is our high priest. And God the Father is equal to God the Son and God the Holy Spirit. 3 in 1. Beautiful imagery. And the Holy Spirit is the one that convicts us of sin and stuff by using our conscience to talk to us, whether we know the law in written form or not, or digital form or not. 16. In the day when God shall judge the secrets of men's hearts by Jesus Christ, he's going to be the one to make the final determination according to the gospel. Remember Jesus told the scribes and Pharisees also? He said pretty much, paraphrasing. He says, many of you will see me, when he says, you will see the Son of Man coming in the day of his return with great power, sitting on the right hand of majesty of power on high. Those who pierced him shall see him also. They shall see Jesus Christ. They will be woe, they'll cry, the mountains and the rock fall on them at that time. Too late. So sorry, Kitty. Hope I didn't hit it too hard. Sorry, I was sleeping, I'm sorry. Verse 16, stepping on the ants, cat, they're going to get me, boy. Let me see. Verse 16, it says, in the day when God shall judge the secrets of men by Jesus Christ according to my gospel. 17, behold, God says, see that ended there. He said, and verse 16 ended with a period. He said that you're going to be judged by Jesus Christ, the main legislator, the main one that says how it's going to be true life or death, period. Verse 17 says, now, let's change the context a little bit. Behold, thou art called a Jew and restest in the law. The people said they believe in the law, the Jewish people back then. And makest thy boast of the law. Okay, you say, I believe in the law, I saw the God, I live according to the law and everything, I do it according to what God says. I know it's his will, and I prove it's the things that of God. I know what God's asking, I do what God says. But I'm doing the more excellent things, being instructive law. Let me say this much. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit because people think Jews mean only Jewish people, but God says further down here. He says everybody who says that they do such things but don't do such things are like hypocritical. The Jewish means spiritual, not just literal. I'm gonna jump down to verse 60, and then later on let's jump down to verse 28 of the same chapter 2 of Romans. He says, for he or she is not a Jew, which is one outwardly, meaning what you see is a Jewish person, the hat, the yarmulke, the Orthodox, all that stuff. There's not one Jew. Neither is that circumcision, meaning that the figuratively, the literal, of maybe cutting the foreskin of the male organ. That thing is not. It's a spiritual thing. It's talking about the heart and how to do. Oh, how should do it? Should I have to read this part to explain what it means? The Bible uses here, but maybe I should do it. Okay, maybe I'll do this. Okay, let me read it to do it to summarize and make it end. And then verse 3 and talk about it after. Because God is talking about the spiritual sense of it. He talks about stuff like circumcision. People do it for the babies, cut off the foreskin of the penis and stuff to make it like, and the thing that's circumcision. But God's like, that's circumcision of that organ, but it means also something in the Old Testament of linking the tribes to Abraham, the seed of Abraham. But it also means foreskin, something covering the heart from God. It means more than just that act. So I think I have to read it in context so you can understand. Because I don't want to jump around and get you confused. So if you're going to read, let's read chapter 2 and end of chapter 2, and then we get to everything else. It says here, Let's do it better. Okay. Behold, thou art called a Jew and restest in the law that maketh the boast of the God. So he's talking about. So people say, okay, he's talking about the Jewish people, right? The Jewish nation, right? Let's see what God says. The Jewish people, right? God is more than that. Not just Jewish people, I say, but everybody, Jews and Gentiles. Not just Gentiles, those who don't know God, but everybody, literal and figurative, in the whole world. Verse 18. And knowest His will, and approvest the things of God. Those who call themselves Jews and more excellent, being instructed of the law, and art confident that thou thyself art a guide to the blind, a light of them which are in darkness. Means I'm a Jew, I'm a holy person, I'm a righteous person. I do the things that of God. I'm supposed to do that, right? That's who I am, right? I said that who I am, right? Verse 20. An instructor of the foolish, a teacher of babes, which has the form of knowledge and of the truth in the law. That's what I'm doing, right? I'm doing that. I'm teaching. I'm doing what God said. I'm Jewish, right? So Paul's talking to the Jews of the time of the Romans back then, but he's also talking to Jewish people of our time now, and also to us spiritual Jews now. All of us are spiritual Jews who want to follow God, right? He says, this is what you're supposed to be doing, right? And you say, I'm doing it, right? So yeah, okay. Verse 21, God says, thou therefore which teachest another. Here's what God says. Are we living hypocrisy? Are we living according to the light that we were given? Are we being truthful and honest with ourselves? Are we doing self-searching and soul-searching? God says, verse 21, thou therefore which teachest another, everybody, mankind, humanity, teachest thou not thyself? You're teaching other people. Are you teaching yourself also? Are you looking at yourself in the mirror too? Are you being a hypocrite? Thou that preachest a man or woman should not steal. Do you steal? As I said, God's asking people who supposedly held in high positions. And here's another thing. Jesus also said, the devil loves to smite the shepherd, so the sheep will scatter, paraphrasing it, right? Because when you hit someone off a holy background or supposedly holy upbringing and background, like I've done to people before, the actors and those performers in entertainment, many of them had religious backgrounds, singing in a choir, they wanted to study God, they wanted to spread the gospel, they wanted to do good messages, they wanted to do good things. The devil took them and corrupted them and turned them bad and wicked. So now they do bad things and they bring other people down. He also attacks households and families and patriarchs. Patriarchs are fatherly figures and motherly figures. Anyone trying to serve God, the devil attacks them, tries to destroy them, and then says, hey, see now world, look at them. And people goes, the priests and pastors are sleeping around, this is how everybody else, they're doing wickedness everybody else. You're no different than us, you're a hypocrite. They then hate God, hate God's word, hate God's teaching, because they say everybody else is preaching as hypocrites to them. They said, you're speaking to me and you don't do, you're not leading by example. That's what God, that's what Jesus rebuked the scribes and Pharisees. They're speaking about godly things, but they're not doing it themselves. They said, don't drink and they're drinking. Don't smoke, they're smoking. Don't kill, they're killing. Don't rob, they're robbing. Don't sleep around, they're sleeping around. They said, don't commit adultery, they commit adultery. Everything God said don't do, they're doing, and they're saying, but they said, come and confess to me. Tell me what you did, oh son or daughter. Tell it to you. Tell it to our papa. Tell it to me. God said, don't do that. Do not confess your sins one to another, God said. Do not confess your sins. Sins are confessed to God only. Confess your faults. Sins and faults are not the same. False means I've done wrong to you. I'm sorry. If I've done a sin to you, that's different. I violated the 10 Commandments by doing something to you. I can mention a name, according to what the 10 Commandments said. Adultery, sin, murder, debate, murder, homicide, covetous. I've literally done it. That's confessing a sin. But if I've done a sin, I broke the commandments. Just say, I'm sorry for what I've done to you. I'm sorry. I apologize. Do not confess your faults. Your sin to anybody, another human being. Because they'll use it against you. As they did back in the Dark Ages and back in the time of the pontiffs and prelates speaking to people in the secret holy confession boxes. They now know your secrets. They know who you've been around with, who you've been drinking with, who you've been acting out with, who you've been doing drugs with, who you've been sleeping around with. When they know your secrets, when another human being knows your secrets, and they're able to fall in they're fallible creatures, they can mess up. They can use it against you. You think that could be a problem? Right to privacy? See how the Bible operate? Right to privacy, right to trial, right of amendments, the Bill of Rights, right to privacy, right to be judged by peers. You have to go to a trial of being judged left or right. God is the one that does the judging based upon what you've done, based upon your sins and your actions towards it, in forgiveness, asking forgiveness or not. We're not to confess our sins to anybody, any human being. If you ask a child or something, or someone else, in the sense, only difference in that, children, when you tell them, ask them, did you steal? Did you steal? Did you break something? Did you do something wrong? Confess it. Yes, I did. Yes or no. Acknowledge. Yes or no. In the trial, in the judgment. Yes or no. Did you do something? And I keep saying, what oath we taking? Do you swear to speak the truth, nothing but the truth and the whole truth? Yes, I do. Who are they taking the oath to? God or some? Oh, just the establishment. And then they go on and stand and they lie and tell all kind of stuff, and they supposedly did an oath. We call them perjury. We said it's perjury if you lie and tell it. You lie to the courts. You lie to the earthly courts. You're not telling the truth to the earthly courts. You lie to your attorney. You lie to your families and so those gathered. Are we not held in a higher standard line to the creator of heaven and earth for what we did if we don't tell the truth? He knows. The angels know. So why bother pretending and going around beating around the bush? So confess your faults to one another, but not your fault, not your sins to anybody else. It says here, but those who say that they want to speak about it, tell other people, I know what you did. Like some of the movies, and you see those that scream all the movies that said, I know your sins, I know what you did. And those who want to hold against you, well, by blackmail. Here's another thing. We've been hearing that those people who supposedly are doing some of these performances and actions and stuff and doing all these things that are so bad, that's why I say don't condemn them. I don't condemn them. I'm calling out the sinful practices, but I'm not condemning them because that's God's prerogative. That's God's make a judgment. Many of them are also blackmailed. They have videos and tapes on them of engaging in acts, maybe even in things with children or doing drugs or doing things that if the word gets out, they can be in a lot of big trouble. They can be in trials. They might lose their life. They might lose their income and life and everything. So there's a lot of pressure on a lot of people in high seats and high establishments in Hollywood, in the industry, and all the way around the world, and even the high-ranking government officials. So many things people do, not because they want to do, but because they're scared of the truth getting out. But sometimes, you know something? And I see some people doing this and say, hey, I see some people in the newspaper doing this too. When they see the truth about to come out, and they know it might be damaging to them, they go and they publish the story quickly. Yes, I did something else, I did so, and they try to twist it. But what if I did such and such and such and such? What about the laptop? What about other things? They try to hide it quick, get ahead of the story so they can do damage control. God said you should know the truth, and the truth will set you free. If man can practice what God says of telling the truth at every time, you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to cover. There's no need to go through all this trials and stuff. If you're honest, you sleep good, your conscience is clear. But if you're lying and hiding and trying to cover up your truth, and someone else knows your secrets, you all got to be looking over your shoulder and hiding. Looking over your shoulder. Will it be told today? Will I know? And when you don't tell the truth, when you don't tell the truth early, like the same thing about children, when you're not telling the truth about how you conceived it, where you came from, what's your purpose, where you came from, what is life, what is the truth, what is evolution compared to creation. If you don't know the truth, we can then be blackmailed by the devil and devilish people. We can then be controlled and manipulated to do bad things because we don't want the truth of the bad we did to get out, or the bad that we're set up doing. As I said, we also say don't drink and don't smoke. Don't do anything that can numb your conscience or your judgment, that can be numbed and see your conscience, because then we can be tricked, and then people can then, if you drink and drug and are knocked out or messed up, can you then account for what you didn't know what you were doing? You wake up in the morning, there's a little child next to you and they're naked. You didn't do that. You didn't willfully do that, but some people have a video of that, and you can be being blackmailed. Some people have things of them doing things of minors and adolescents, of doing different sacrifices and different engagements with people and doing other rituals that are against nature and men and women, as the Bible said. But they're being blackmailed. And that blackmail and fear of someone that's knowing your secrets can be deadly. Some suicide themselves. Revenge porn is another term for it. People have a boyfriend or girlfriend, and someone knows what they did, a video of it, and they send it to their friends, send it to some other people in the group, send it to all the girls in the group or sorority, send it to the church, publish it online, or put it on this thing like Pornhub and other things. Now people are saying, I can't believe you do such a thing. Some people are out of fear of the fear of them. I'm gonna address that. Of the fear of them and of the backlash, harm themselves, suicide themselves. Some own up and say, listen, it's true. I'm sorry, I did it. I did things back then I wasn't sorry for. Then you have to say, it's already known, it's public knowledge. Open sin deserves open rebuke. Okay, I did this and I was wrong, I'm sorry. Forgive me, please. My God has forgiven me. They said you have to pay the penalty for it. And even then there's a disparity. I see the courts coming after hard at the people who are not in the circles of the rich and the famous, and coming hard after them, but letting the people who are rich and famous just pay a fee and fines and pay some slush money funds and get away with it. That's being a respecter of persons. Because of coming in, because of your title or your position in government or in the world, you're allowed to pay it off. But other people who can't afford to pay it off go to jail. That's a disparity. But going back to the people who are blackmail and stuff. If they blackmail you and you know that you already know it, come ahead of it, the story. Say, listen, I'm being blackmailed and they try to get me. Only thing is I heard other people also came and tried to tell the truth and then they were killed. Or maybe taking their life taken from them. I don't know the details of how the stories went about. I'm still questioning the stories of Michael Jackson and Prince and Whitney Houston and her daughter. I'm still questioning those things, how they died too, because it's too much of a kind of interesting coincidence. Why everybody talking every time somebody does something bad in Hollywood and or in media and something in the industry of music and they die or something happens to them, somehow they die of suicide by drugs or something. Do you believe those stories? Everybody dying of drugs and something that everyone in Hollywood is drugged up to they just can't help but dying of drugs and suicide. They say that. Can we really trust what the media tells us all the time? Can we trust everything we say? There are many videos and things that were published once in media that were once I can find them a couple years ago. I can't find them now. I can't find searches that I want to looking for some things right now on YouTube and Google and stuff that I did before. These things are humanly run, and by satanic forces, they are controlled many ways. They manipulate the data and the algorithms so they can control what they want you to know or not know. So those people in Hollywood and those industry who own in upper government who have the high positions of things and they are held to a certain standard, we're not to look down on them and condemn them and says, you people, them, and look at them as, gee, they messed up. God says, we're watching them. We're watching them understand that, saying they should do better, they should know better. Suppose they were not aware of what God requires of them, as you and I do. Suppose, should God judge them by the same standard? Shouldn't God be fair and be equal? Not impartial as the world does? The world takes into consideration your money and your circumstance, your influence. God takes into consideration your heart and your intent. God does it differently. So those who are supposedly being blackmailed, tell the truth, get out of it. Tell it to God, for one. If the media are going to come at you and say, I'm going to publish it, when they publish it, say, acknowledge it, yes or no. The only sad thing is, the world has a way of dealing with exacting punishment for things. And people say, well, why it has to happen? Remember of David and the son, when the first child that died, when he sinned with Bathsheba of adultery? God allowed the child to die as a punishment for David's and Bathsheba's sin. But he allowed Solomon to be born later after David and Bathsheba repented and had a child the godly way. God can permit forgiveness of many things that are done on earth. And he can overrule a lot of things done on earth. It's up to him to make the decision. I can't tell you what to do in that regard. I'll say, as a safety, pray to God and tell him what you did. Confess your faults and sins to him and let him determine what will happen to you at that point. Understanding that if you lie and cover it up in this life and to have to deal with the consequence of it in the second life, if you're even permitted to get to the second life, it's going to be worse. To die in this world because of sin happening in this world here, to sin and in worldly tribunals and courts for following God in this life is not the end of it. Those who died for God in this life will be given life again in a second. Those who died in this world for committing sin and refuse to repent of it will die forever. They'll be given a little mini resurrection after God comes back. He comes back to bring the heavenly Jerusalem down to heavenly earth to make the earth renewed, and then they'll be given a chance to see the life played back in panorama to themselves of every opportunity they had to hear the message of God preached to them, and they choose to slight it or not listen to it. Then they will have a final destruction. That's when hell will be let loose, be started. But those who repent and say, I'm sorry, God, for everything I've done, like the thief on the cross, he's not nailed to the cross. He's paying the penalty. He's crucified to the cross for doing wrong. And in his death, dying words, he says, Lord, forgive me for my sins. Can you remember me, please? Can you forgive me and remember me? He's paying the penalty for it. God said, yeah, today, you shall beat me in pride. I mean, that when he dies, you will see the thief on the cross in heaven. You will see Nebuchadnezzar, Samson also, Moses, Noah, and other people we thought would go to hell. But many people who said that they're going to be in heaven because they're so holy and self-righteous, but are not doing God's will secretly, will be lost, won't be in heaven. So God said, you'll have weeping and gnashing of teeth. We'll see things happen, and he'll wipe away all tears from your eyes, because many people who think we'll be there will not be there. Many people who think we'll be saved will not be saved because of hearing the word and the message of God, but not doing it, not being obedient to it. Many people who think we're going to be lost, the prostitutes and those in entertainment, those are skinning out, doing bad things and living vicariously in drugs and alcohol and porn and wickedness and vice and wicked and murder and debate. If they ask God for forgiveness, they'll be saved. And they repentant, they change, they'll be saved like the thief on the cross. But those who say, I'm going to willfully go and sin and do all these bad things, and right before I die, I'll say, God, forgive me now. That's suicide still. It's not going to happen. You will die in that sin. We will die in that sin. If we think we're going to say and willfully sin and then say, God, I know I'm sinning, and I ask for forgiveness in the end, we're premeditating murder, we're premeditating the sin, we will die in that sin. God will be like, your fault. You did it yourself. God's way is just. But I did all the good things in the past, and then I said, I'm tired of doing good. I want to do wicked now. There's I think we had another speech on that before. God said, your wickedness that you did before, if you turn and do good in the end, will be considered in judgment as part of ask for forgiveness, you change your life, you'll be forgiven, as Paul would be. But if you are willing to do good and then decide at the end of it, I did the wicked, I'm tired of doing good. I'm tired of doing good. I want to do wicked for once. Have those pleasure in sin. I want to have pleasure in sin. And we die in that sin, we'll be destroyed. All the good you've done, all the good you've done back then will be forgotten and erased. Because God requires the conscious decision at every moment in time. We must be living in God at every moment in time. We can't think once saved, I was saved. I did the wickedness in the past. And he's, oh God, it's so good for this. And then all of a sudden, I decided to do good now. God says, yeah, you do good now, but your past was still wicked back then. You have to die for it. How fair would that be to God? So, juxtaposition on the contract. If I did wicked, I decided, if I did good in the past, helping the poor and the sick and the widows, helping everybody, doing good things, feeding everybody, orphans, lending money, helping the poor, doing the right things, doing health, working in the hospital, doing all the wonderful things of God. Teaching the gospel, and I decide now, you see, no, I'm tired of being good. I just want to be wicked for once. Let me have a little play around with my little friend next door. Let me go mess with the neighbor's shield or something. Let me go decide to kill an animal. Let me just go take some drugs, do something wicked to harm somebody. And somehow or the other, we either die in that sin, or maybe they may be so guilty, maybe shy to confess it. Any unconfessed sin and any sin covered up and hidden will be given with final destruction and death. That's God's way. He said, because all your wickedness shadows over everything you did before. But I did all the good things in the past. So that's what I understand so far. But you and God have a different relationship. Each individual have their own. Let God talk to you and tell you what he wants for himself. But you know that we have to do it God's way. It'll be the best thing. So let me wrap it up and end it here before we wrap it soon, before you guys continue. Because how was it now? Hour plus? And let's do it. I don't want to make you guys pass out. But I'm telling you guys, and myself as well, we cannot be hypocrites in this life. Every waking moment, that decision knowing that God's judgment is on my back to do good or good, to do right or wrong. Not because it's a burden to follow the Ten Commandments, but because I have to understand, every action and deed done is going to be given a recompense for good or bad, for life or death. Every action have a weighted thing on my back. So when you walk around, there's a little, you say some of the games have a little thing, bubble fall on you. My life is what God says I am at any moment in time. So when God sees me at any moment in time, he sees what I am. He knows what you are too. He knows that you are, he knows. So we want to be known by God as being holy and righteous. How? By asking God to cover us with his blood. Lord, can you please forgive me and cover me with your blood? The blood shed, because God said, without shedding of blood, there's no remission of sins. You gotta know the sanctuary service and what it means by that. You gotta know that. It's in the Old Testament. Without the forgiveness of sin, we will be destroyed in God's presence. So the only way for us to go in God's presence is to be covered with Jesus' blood. Jesus is figurative blood. Before the literal blood needs to be covered an animal, like the blood put up on the doorpost in Egypt when the angel of death came to get the firstborn of Egypt. The blood post, that was symbolic of Jesus. Covered by the blood of Jesus. And you see that you believe in the blood covering the post of Jesus? God says, the angel says, he's one of ours. He's fit for life. When we go into judgment, as we are every day, we're right now in the time of judgment right now. Since 1844, in the time of judgment. Since 1844, we're being judged. My glasses are messed up. Don't look at the glasses. It's all cloudy here. We're being judged. When our name are called, if we're unrepentant and not sorry for what we've done to God, and we don't ask God to cover us with his righteous blood and Jesus' sacrifice for us, we'll be lost. Death is written next to our name. If when our names are called and we've said, and we don't know when it's been called, we don't know. It's secret. No, you never know what can happen to us any moment. If we do good, or we done bad and we said sorry, and Lord, we messed up in the past, I've stumbled, right? God said, I've seen a righteous man fall down 7 times. Righteous man and woman. I've seen a righteous man, person, woman or man, fall down 7 times and raise up again. When they ask for forgiveness, God says, I'll purge it out of you. I'll forgive you for it. So if we sin, and we say, God, I'm sorry, we've done wickedness all our life, and say, Lord, I'm sorry, when God comes to our name, CJ, open the book. RJ, BJ, whatever name you call him. When you open the book, he says, your name, written next to your name. And he says, what is it? The devil's going, he deserved death. He deserved death. She deserved death. God's like, Jesus. Jesus goes, Father, forgive them. I've covered them with my blood. Forgive them. They've claimed me. Forgive them. Next to them says life. It is that serious. They don't have to know the name of Jesus. But because the Lord has written in our hearts, unseen, in our conscience, unseen, that's the law that determines whether we should do good or bad. If we're obedient to that conscience and the laws, that will then decide to us what our actions are worthy of, life or death. So though you don't know the name of Jesus, in the end of it, according to what we believe, he will make the final determination based upon us being obedient to the law of doing good or bad. Understand? So if we believe in to do good, that will be the covering blood of us. If we decide to know, I don't want to do good, I want to do wickedly, there'll be no blood covering us. There'll be death coming to us. So I feel free to ask any question anytime if you have a question like that. It is that serious. And if you ask a question and say, you should know that already, we're not to assume anything about anybody. We're never to assume anything about anybody. ASSUME means make an ASS of you and me. So let's not assume anything too much. Okay? Let's not assume. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let them ask a question. Everyone ask. I'm asking questions too. Does it mean? As if it was talking to you directly with me here. It's okay to ask questions. God actually wants us to ask questions. We have to question everything. Why you are who you are? Why you are God? Why are you the only one? Are you a man? Are you a woman? Why is it Jesus? Who is Jesus? Why am I here? Why am I born now? Why am I not born 10 years before, 100 years before? Why am I where I am now? What is this? What are the circumstances under which I am? God wants us to ask questions, because by asking questions, we then mind and makes an inquiry. Inquiry means now you have to gather data. So go gather data. Archaeological findings, present day things, Google it, search it, website, search it. And if you find you're not getting a good enough answer, or if you get an answer, say, Lord, is it true? Ask God, is the answer? Does it make sense? He'll give you the answer. He'll talk to you. Okay? So let's talk about the circumcision on Jews. So God's talking to us in a spiritual sense, but also meaning in a literal sense, and also look at it literally and figuratively to put it together. So we're saying, if we want to say we've been righteous and teaching everybody about God and living a life that's righteously, we should. But we also have to live it and follow it and believe it and act accordingly. And if we're doing that, but we have secret sins, we're going to be destroyed. So God says, I want you to have nothing between me and yourself by having uncircumcised hearts. I want nothing to cover between you and me. Okay? The reason why I think they use the male copulatory organ a lot of time, or the penis, in a lot of rituals, and even in structures and statues, including like the monuments and the obelisk, and even the Eiffel Tower, I heard means that. It's actually not what you think it is. It's actually the male member. Sacrilege? No. Ask him. Where did it come from? Who made it? Why do a lot of religions tend to worship the male penis, the male organ? They also worship the women's one. A lot of religions tend to also follow by worshiping sexual rituals. You're trying to unite the womb with the male organ. They want a conception, but they say they don't want to know about conception. They want to birth something, but they don't know through a conception, but they don't want to tell you about it. They don't want you to hide it from you. And many things are hidden in plain sight. What is St. Peter's Square? How is it shaped like? What is the obelisk? There's also a Washington Monument too. What is the outlay? What is the geography? What is the topical look of Washington, D.C.? Are there any occultish origins of Washington, D.C. and the history of it? I showed you the one about Indiana, right? Some of the stuff with Japan and other stuff. Are there any occultish historical things that relate and we can tie back to religion and God and stuff? I watch films called Adullam films, and I think they open my eyes to a lot of stuff, and I don't see them that much anymore on YouTube. I wonder why. A lot of things there are hidden in plain sight. Masonic temples and Masonic stuff. A lot of religions worship the male and female members, and they even use the white and thing checkerboard. A lot of things I mentioned, and they say this like it's about God, but they're not about God. But they worship the created things because they like sensual pleasure more than the creator that gave the. You know what I'm saying? So they taking things of God, mimicking it, copying it, using it the wrong way, and then saying it's of God, but we should follow them. And I'm talking in different ways around it because you guys gotta understand what I'm saying. It's like you can't say everything directly as I want to say it. There's a lot of things out there, not because I'm scared of them per se, but I'm like, you may not get to see the video on the block. So let's just say that they know what they're doing, hidden in plain sight. Okay? And they ask yourself, why would they do that? Because the devil is in enmity against God and you and anybody else. He wants to smite the shepherd to make the sheep scatter. Because if you smite the leadership position, the rest of them will say, well, they're not any better than us. I'll follow them too. The priest is sleeping around, messing around and drinking and acting bad and fornicating, so who am I? I'm forgiven, right? I've also seen this also in the different societies. I've seen different things of this is something weird I didn't realize in a different religion. I won't say what it is, but some people do where they have like planned marriages where they can have a religious marriage done quickly. They marry you off to go act like a prostitute. You can marry somebody quickly to have intimate relations with them, sexual relations with them, and then it's considered holy in their sight because you marry them quickly for a momentary thing. That's playing with God. It's not godly. They said this. If you say we're married, but where does marriage come from? What is marriage supposed to stand for? Who determines? Does man make the final determination of what marriage means? Does man make the final determination of what a law really means or the weight of a law? It's God. God has the final say, the beginning and the end of it. He's the Alpha and the Omega. So anybody thinking they're going to do it that way, they're kidding themselves. And everybody, every religion, everybody, every entity, every gospel have to be checked and tested in God's eyes. God says, I want to talk to you. I want you to all come closer to me. Be like me. Be like him. You can't have nothing between us. God said, I want nothing between us. Move the force. Let me talk to you. Tom, let's sit down and talk to me. Though your sins are like scarlet, though your sins are like blood red, talk to me. Let's reason together. I'll change and make your blood, make your sin as white as snow. I want to purify. I want to help you. I want to save you. I want to give you life, not death. God's not here. Why would he want to talk to us if he wants to give us death? He can just do death right now. But because he's long-suffering to usward, we're still alive to talk to each other and to get it together. Because like children, they mess up when they're small. And as they learn to get older, they do that. Things I did when I was a kid, I don't do no more because I learned the lesson not to do those things anymore. Many of us the same way. Young or old, whoever's watching these videos, whoever's talking to us, a lot of things we did when you're smaller. A lot of things we did when you're smaller. We don't do that no more because we've learned not the right way. It's adolescence, immaturity. We have to learn to be mature in the word. We have to drink milk when you're first smaller, but now we have to eat the meat. We have to eat strong meat to learn how to live like God. So God says nothing between us. It says. So God says, I don't want hypocrisy. 21. Thou therefore would teach us another. Teachest thou that thyself? Thou that preachest a man should not steal. Dost thou steal? Thou that sayest a man should not commit adultery. Dost thou commit adultery? Thou that abhorrest, you that abhorrest idols. You don't like idols. You say adultery is bad. Dost thou commit sacrilege? Do you worship idols? Thou that makest thy boast of the law. You said, I believe in the law, I do this stuff. Through breaking the law, dishonest thou God? He's asking us. For the name of God is blasphemed among the Gentiles. Those who say, I don't know God. Through you. Woo. Through me. What? Me? For the name of God is blasphemed to the Gentiles. Not because of the Gentiles. Through us. As is written. So God's like, because we did this and let other people mess up, they're messing up because of us. So God's like, I'm going to hold you accountable for what you did to make them mess up. Isn't that fair? We messed up. We put a stumbling block in front of our brother and sister. We messed up. And when we were unrepentant, if we did it wrong, we say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Like if you say a typo, I made a mistake. Forgive me. Okay, we forgive him, bro. It's forgiven. But if he said, I don't want to know, keep it as a secret sin, and people are going ahead tripping and falling, and messing up and sinning in front of God because they're thinking that that's the way to do it. That's the godly way to do it. We led by example, and that example is not of Christ. God says, I'm going to deal with you. The person who commit the first sin against them, and made these people fall. The person who made the person, their brother, sister, stumble and fall, they will be held accountable. They'll be judged. The person who knowingly know that the people who know that the person in front of you is doing something to trick you. If we willfully go ahead and say, let's be tricked, and say, it's okay. I understand this is not real, but the pastor said it's okay. The preacher said it's okay. My father said it's okay. Somebody said it's okay. And they know it's a sin against God, what the God word really says. They said, but I know it's wrong, but that's despising God's law. I know it's wrong to do this, but, and they willfully go ahead and sin. God's like, they'll be destroyed in the end. No excuse for that. So we can't willfully sin and think God's going to be like, it's okay, it's part. Nope, we're going to pay for it. For the name of God is blasphemed among the Gentiles through you, Paul is saying, to you, me, all of us. If we don't forgive, if we don't ask for forgiveness, as it is written, for circumcision, cutting away the foreskin of the front of the penis and stuff, the one thing, figuratively, literally, but figuratively, it means your heart, your mind, your conscience. For circumcision, verily means profited, right? It said, okay, it helps a bit for children who have the circumcision done to them. Jewish people know about this stuff, and other people who follow the Abrahamic laws know about this stuff about having children circumcised. It says it profits to some degree, but different things of contamination, germs, and not getting stuff and infections. It helps with those things. It says, for circumcision verily profited. Right? If thou keep the law. If you do it according to the Mosaic laws and the Jewish laws of back then and stuff, it profits, But if thou be a breaker of the law, right, thy circumcision is made uncircumcision. So does he really mean just the foreskin of his heart? Can you become uncircumcised from being circumcised? It means more than that. What does it mean by that? Let the Bible speak for itself. What does it mean by that? Verse 26 of chapter 2 of Romans in the New Testament of King James, it says, therefore, if the uncircumcision keeps the righteousness of the law, wait, how would me not cutting off my penis foreskin? Is it talking about literal? Let's ask the question. Ask, what does it mean? He's going to explain it later. He said, therefore, if the uncircumcision keeps the law, if the uncircumcision keeps the righteousness of the law, Shall not his uncircumcision be counted for circumcision? He's talking about Jew and Gentile again. Jew and Gentile. As if you were the Gentile who were uncircumcised, didn't know any better. You just living according to, but you kept the law. That's your law, that's your judgment for you. Right? He explains. He says here. He says, verse 27, and shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, right? If it fulfill the law, he's talking about the uncircumcision of the heart. Shall not uncircumcision and circumcision, right? If it is fulfill the law by, and shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, if it fulfill the law, judge thee. Same thing as he said before in the previous one about the law not having the law. Who by the letter of circumcision does transgress the law? He's using the literal thing of how they have to follow the law of having the children circumcised on the 8th day in the Jewish times, as well as now he means it to the spiritual sense. For he is not a Jew, which is one outwardly, neither is that circumcision which is outward in the flesh. He's saying, I'm not talking about the flesh only. I'm talking beyond that, the spiritual sense. But he is a Jew which is one inwardly. How could he be an inward Jew and not an outward Jew? You understand? What does the word Jew means? Not Jew doesn't mean the people you see in the nation or the people in Israel. It doesn't mean that Jew or the people you see here. It means more than that. Well, one day go into the definition, but it doesn't mean that. It means more than that. And circumcision. Remember, say let the Bible speak for itself and explain itself. Here a little, there a little, line upon line, upon line. He tells you, what does circumcision mean? We know the figurative sense, and the literal sense means of the actual cutting the foreskin off. But it means more. He says here, but he's a Jew which is one inwardly. And circumcision, the circumcision we're talking about here, is that of the heart. Can you cut away a foreskin of a heart? Does the heart have a foreskin? I know, but the pericardium lay above it. Does it have a heart? Does it have a flap around the heart? Is there a skin? We're not talking about the sac, right? To get pericarditis. We're not talking about that, pericardium. Circumcision is a spiritual sense of blocking. Well, uncircumcision is a spiritual sense of blocking between you and God. Here's where he kind of gets to the sensual side. When a male is circumcised, that foreskin is removed. It has a different effect on the penal head if you have skin covering than if you didn't. Sorry, I got to tell how it is. It means a lot more in depth with this in the Bible. There's a lot of sensory neurons in the male organ as well as the female organ. That's how it works. That's how God made marriage and the union of a man and woman in an intimate relationship with him in a godly fashion to make you have fun when you're married, in a godly sense. But the world decided to take upon marriage upon their own self. Said, listen, we're going to take what God said and make it our own. We're taking what God made in his form, in his way, to do it as we think we should do. Marriage is made by God, not by mankind. So mankind can do what he says, what he wants, with how he wants, what thing marriage it is. It doesn't make it right. If we do it God's way, it's in line. If it's in harmony. But if it's not, it's not. So God is saying, circumcision he's talking about here is the circumcision of the heart in the spirit. In the spirit. But he's a Jew, verse 29 of chapter 2 of Romans. But he's a Jew which is one inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart, in the spirit, and not in the letter, whose praise is not of men, but of God. So circumcision, and these things we're talking about here, but knowing the law and acting the law and doing God's judgment and everything else, God's saying his law is impartial, his judgment is impartial. He means he's fair, he's equal, he does everything perfect. Everyone gets judged equally. Everyone gets judged equally, for good or for bad, for good or worse, what we do in our life. If we do anything contrary to God, we have to ask ourselves, are we being honest with ourselves? Are we being honest with God? So I won't go on too long into this. We're going to go to part 3, which is talking about now, preaching the prophets, about sin, what it means. Okay, I was going to go another part in Timothy. But Timothy, well, maybe I'll put Timothy in part 3 real quickly. They're going to get some food before they pass out, before I pass out myself. We're going to go to part 3 and talk about sin. Why was sin permitted? Why we have to have all this battle over sin? And to be considered Jew, not Jew, Gentile, not Gentile. What is sin? All this thing. Everything we do as wicked as well as sin. Now sin is a disobedience to God. We've now gotten to the point where we're now living in sin, and some of us are loving sin. Some of us are loving and lavishing in sin. And sin has to be understood what it means to be sinner. We're going to explain that, what it means to be a sinner, what a sin is, okay? By the grace of God, thank you for your time and effort to helping us to watching this. Each video can actually stand alone. I think, I'm just giving you the part to let you know there's a part coming up after this, because that's what we talk about today. We're going to get to the next part. Part 3 is coming up. Timothy and this part. Might be long too. Sorry, but it's a lot of stuff. You see how much stuff is here? I ain't even getting there yet. I'm just talking the surface. And this might be, I have to break it up because a lot of stuff I said in there, I might say, The algorithms might try to spot the words mentioned, and don't go by the transcript. Transcript don't even keep up with me. They can't do it. They ain't doing what they doing. But they don't want me to talk about those things. So this is going to be a test run. Are they going to permit me to speak about what I need to speak about in godly fashion? And when people hear things also, well, people might take this and get it and take it the wrong way. That's what God says. Listen to the full thing of it. And many people nowadays, they don't want to hear the full message. They take a little bit and they run with it, as they do with scripture and do it to their own destruction. We are supposed to take God's law and God's words and go and ask questions and have a healthy, honest, non-violent, peaceful debate about these things. We're not to go and try to beat up other people with the word that we learned and the message we learned and say this is the right way. Might makes right. We're not to go and try to say tattletales. See, I heard him saying this thing. Pull them off the platform, them. You know, they have names for Karen. I said Karen got a bad apple. Karen is like, now we're going to witness protection program. Karen's sorry that they use your name and all the things. But we're not to go there and tell people stuff that we should do, like we should get them off, deplatform them because of speaking the truth. That's the no work of Cain. We ought to be able to be honest and be strong enough to say, hey, I understand what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. I differ from what you say. I don't agree with it. Can we have the honest debate and honest answer or honest conversation about what it means? Because our foundation and basis should be in the Holy One, the Rock of Ages, Jesus Christ. All our conversations, all our disagreements, all our things should be able to be worked out to working it out through Jesus Christ. If you don't know the name of Jesus Christ, we should be able to sit down and do together. Don't groups and tribes around the world who have no knowledge of God or the gospel, aren't they able to work together in different tribes together and commune and have trade and business and things together by sitting down together and talking to chiefs and the tribe leaders? Aren't they able to work things out without knowing the name of God and Jesus? Why? Because it's already written in our hearts. Each one of us, you and I, have God written in our hearts already, have God's law written in our hearts and our conscience. We can have discussions based upon those things. So we're not to take it and say, I heard what he said, I heard what she said, and then go in and block the video, pull it off the platform. That then shows that you were led by the wrong spirit. God says, try the spirits, let them all speak. Let us debate it. God didn't take us off the world. God says, you shall be in the world, but not be of the world. I can have you living in the world, speaking about things in the world, but not doing the things of the world. So here I am. Here you are. What an interesting call. We're in the world. And we're not doing things of the world. I don't have to drink. People are drinking around me. I don't have to smoke. People are smoking around me. I don't have to go and commit violence and acts of terrorism around other people. People are doing that around me. I don't have to curse. I refuse to curse. You don't have to curse either. There should be no curses coming out of your mouth. No profanity. I already said one profanity word here yet? So why do you have to curse? Why do you even think about it? Were you born coming out of the baby womb, coming out of the mom's womb thinking of cursing? Mother. To me, to curse is like saying, I don't know anything better to do than to just default to the satanic and bad things. But if you do curse, drop it. Like a bad habit. Smoking, drop it. Drinking, drop it. Drink water and juice, it's good. Unfermented. Any bad habit, drop it. How can I? Ask God to do it. He says, I'll give you power. Put him to the test. He said, I'll give you power. All heaven and earth, all power in heaven and earth is given to him to do it. We can overcome sin by being obedient to God. Drop it. Drop the bad habits. Drop it. Okay? So don't drop God's message and throw out the baby with the bathwater, as the phrase goes. Take God's message as it is. And he says, if you're hearing his word and you refuse to listen, we can put ourselves in big trouble. Don't get in that kind of thing. We want to do God's will, not to get ourselves in trouble. Follow God's will, okay? We'll talk about the next thing in the next verse. And thank you again for your time. God bless you all.
Amen.
Yeah. They have low blood sugar. They eat anything. We eat their breakfast. Yeah, we're going to get to that part. So that's okay. We're going to get to it. Okay? Get ready for the next part. Thank you so much for you guys. Love you guys.
Amen.
Okay.